here we go, and welcome everyone to the Hot Dice Podcast. Today we have the Battle of the Brothers. It is Greg on the left with his World Eaters. Say hi, Greg.
Hello everyone.
And we have Phil on the right with his sisters.
Hello there.
And in commentary we have the dulcet tones of Ben Lanes. Hello, Ben.
Good evening, this is Bill.
That'll do. And also a new co-host for this event. It is Nathan. Say hi, Nathan.
Evening, everyone.
Excellent. And I just realised the music was probably drowning us all out a bit there. That was a bit of rock and roll. So what we'll do is we haven't started deployment yet, and we'll go straight into that. And while we're doing that, actually, we're going to go through the lists. It's a 1,000 pointer for our escalation league. Next round will be a 2,000 points. So we're going into the big boy leagues then. It is WTC layout as usual. And gents, just let us know what you're hoping to get out of this one. So please, Phil, if you want to go first.
Yeah, so obviously just to get a bit of experience of using a different attachment today. So just to see how that works really, a bit of an all-comers list. It should be an all-comers list until we decided we were going to play Angron, so we'll see how we go.
Yeah, so what's different this time?
Obviously, the most common Sisters attachment at the minute, and probably arguably the best by a country mile, is Bringers of Flame. Obviously, advance and shoot, +1 strength on weapons is really powerful. It kind of hits you across a number of breakpoints as Sisters with Melter, Battle Cannon, stuff like that. But obviously, Hallowed Martyrs just gives you a slightly different range of strats, which can be quite useful. So I've gone with the Hallowed Martyrs, so that the detachment rule there is -1. Well, if you're below full strength, +1 to hit, below hard strength, +1 to wound, and the stratagem suite's probably a little bit better. So
cool. And what about you, Greg? You're running the blunt instrument.
World Eaters do what World Eaters do. Angron to try and kill things. Obviously, it's my second competitive game, so
yeah,
all we've played for years, it's a different ball game when you start playing competitively, I think.
For sure, and that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
You know, we got a big club, we've got 36 in the league, we're taking this nationally. This is going to North Wales, Mid Wales, South Wales.
Yeah.
It's going big. We're going to keep it in local divisions, which is what we have now.
I imagine brother versus brother every game's got a little edge of competitiveness anyway when you've played in the past. I know, I'm sure there's always been an undercurrent there. So
yeah, so Ben was just highlighting the commentators. So for the audience at home, the players can't hear the commentators so that they can have some good unbiased views. I'm here in the room with them. I'm going to be relaying a lot of the messages as we go. But obviously he's just highlighting that you guys have played 1,000,000 times. So who normally wins?
It's a good mix actually. I think what we do is we've experimented with a lot of different lists between us, so I think it's probably 50-50 in terms of who wins. Sometimes I win, it's sometimes a whitewash. Greg sometimes rushes me early on. We've tried a range of different attachments, sometimes we draw, so it can go either way really. I think the 1K aspect to it, and what was funny, I know Ben was talking about obviously list developments, and we were bouncing ideas off each other. And then I said to Greg, yeah, put Angron in the list, see what happens. Well, I regret that decision now. And here we go, Bill.
And then I sent him the list and he was like, I wouldn't like to play that.
And what are your thoughts on 1,000 points, Greg? You were saying before.
Personally, I found it quite hard to do 1,000 points.
Yeah.
Because Angron's 415, is he? So,
yeah.
No, you don't have to have him, but he's the punchiest thing you have.
Yeah.
So if you don't have him, you seem to lack. I think you lack quite a lot going forward, but at the end of the day, it's between him, Berserkers, and some Jackals. I mean, so we have to just see how we get on, really.
Yeah, well, and some of the eagle-eared listeners out there who are probably listening from the Americas probably recognise this strange accent. They are both from Liverpool. We're not holding it against them, but they are allowed to play in the Welsh Cup Championship. So
there's descendancy somewhere.
So
if the name is Welsh, we have Welsh ancestry.
There you go, the Welsh ancestors. So that's something. So if you can't understand what they're saying, please say in the chat, and we'll see if we can get our crack team of translators involved. And we'll go from there. So without further ado, a snappy 1,000 point game. So we're going to let you get on with it while the commentators have a look at your lists, and then we'll come back to your deployment once you're done, and we'll go from there.
Brilliant.
So do you understand the mission, gentlemen?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was hidden supplies,
Mhm.
and I'll just go up onto the top of the screen there. So we have hidden supplies. So that's why in the center of that table there, you can see that the one objective is split into two. It's hammer and anvil.
Yep.
And what was the main mission?
Burden of Trust.
Burden of Trust. So big scorer potentially. So that is declaring the action. It's the same as the last stream actually. Now I think about it. With between Adam, you can see that on our other live broadcasts. So you're getting you declare it. It's not an action, but if a unit goes onto the objective, at the end of your opponent's turn, you're going to get additional 2 primary, and then at the start of your next command phase, you're going to get the 4. So effectively, over a round, there's 6 primary available per objective in the middle of the table.
Yeah.
So that's 4 if you're sitting on it, and 2 if you're still sitting on it at the end of your opponent's turn. So that's huge. And obviously with 4 objectives in the centre, there's a lot to play for.
Yeah.
So without further ado, gents, we'll let you roll the dice, get involved, and our commentators will take over from here and we'll review the lists while I bring them up on the screen.
First.
So first, who's attacker and defender?
Choice.
Ooh.
Oh, double 6.
2 sixes.
We go again.
Strong start.
Strong
Shit.
start.
Would you like to start setting up first, or shall I?
I'll let you.
I think we need to check these dice. 3 5.
So I'm going to put some.
Yeah, I don't think they need, sisters need the help with the dice rolls being good.
If only they were miracle dice straight off the bat. Arco Flagellants down.
Units of jackals.
And I'll bring up the lists and mute the players. So what do you guys think is going to happen in this game?
Well, I think it's going to be a bit of an interesting one. I think the additional rule where it split those 2 objectives may have swung things ever so slightly in the favour of Phil's sisters here. As, you know, Greg's brought Angron, which is a great piece to bring to any game, but at 1,000 points, the percentage of your list that takes up is it's quite a lot. And will he have the mobility in the units to be able to hold down multiple objectives, especially when there's an extra one on the pitch? We'll have to find out, but yeah, I think there's a lot of potential here. Ben, what are you thinking?
It's going to be an interesting one. I think Greg does have access, to quite a few. Obviously, he has his berserkers. He's got access to jackals and sticky objectives, so he has got the ability to really go for it in this mission. I think the key is if Angron comes back. If you see Angron come back 2, maybe 3 times, he's effectively run 2,000 points into Phil. So,
I hadn't thought of that.
That could be. I think that's quite key. I mean, if Angron comes back, I think Phil is going to struggle to deal with the threat. The Jackal and Berserker combination is quite nice. I think Phil's going to be relying on that. He's got the Castigator in the list. He's going to be
an
relying
absolute
on
shredder for a heavy infantry.
Yes,
like marine
exactly.
bodies are its bread and butter.
If he can deal with those Berserkers early, then it is really down to Angron to do the work.
I think as well, on top of that Castigator, he's also got an Exorcist, which has 2 damage indirect missile capabilities, and because he's brought that Angron along, which does give him that lethality and punch, he doesn't have the transports to protect the Berserkers from that incidental incoming fire. So if he can maybe keep that Castigator and the Exorcist in good spots, he may be able to whittle down some of those Berserkers on the way in before they can do too much damage. But
So what we'll do here is we'll go over the actual lists, I think, briefly. So what I've got, hopefully on the screen, gents, you can see we've got the World Eaters list. So you can see we've got Angron, we've got 2 units of 10 Jackals, we've got 3 units of 5 Corn Berserkers, and a War Dog Brigand. So what do you think about that list?
I like the War Dog. That's an interesting piece of kit. What do you think of that one, Ben?
I considering the fact he's got Angron, it left him with little options. I actually think at 1,000 points, it would have been very tempting to try and fill the rest of the points with 8 bound, which obviously they're substantially strong, but he just doesn't give you enough flexibility. So I think Greg's actually been quite clever here. I think the war dog's quite a nice threat that he can still have some backline shooting. He is only shooting sisters, so if Phil tries to get a little bit confident and poke himself out to try and get some big damage on Angron, then in theory he could very quickly lose a squad to the chain cannon on that Brigand. So I think it's a clever list. I do like it. As I said, I think the key really is if Angron comes back, couple of times, I think Phil at 1,000 points is going to struggle to deal with it.
And Nathan, what do you think about this sisters list?
I think the Sisters list, it looks like it's built to take on all comers. There's a lot of different useful bits of kit in there. We've already talked about how the Castigator and the Exorcist are there to sort of pick up those Space Marine bodies, and in the League this season, there's a lot of people running around with 3 or 4 up save, toughness 4 models, so that's really useful. The Seraphim are just a fantastic piece of sort of just tech. You know, it's useful for dropping in, grabbing some objectives, being able to shoot, and then move afterwards. Gives them a lot of flexibility in picking up those secondaries. And you might think to yourself, well, he's got a lot of really good anti-infantry stuff in there. He might be a little light on the ability to crack armor, but this is a Sisters list. And if anything can attach a melter gun to it, it is there. You've got hunter-killer missiles on all of the tanks, which is really useful, which will be really good against Angron. The Dominion squad packing 4 melter guns.
Yeah, nice.
And then I think you've also got the Immolator as well, which does have a twin multi-melter, heavy bolter, and a hunter-killer missile on top of it. I think, given it's just well-rounded, and being able to leverage those acts of faith by being able to sub in a dice for a crucial thing, those limited amount of melter shots really go a hell of a lot further in a Sisters list by being able to, guarantee that 6 damage when it's needed, which might be a bit painful for Angron.
Okay. And what do you think the strengths of these two forces are, where they're going to be, what are the weaknesses?
Ben, do you want to go first?
Yeah, Phil's list is really intrigues me. I think it's very much a 2K list that's almost been condensed rather than. I don't get the feeling Phil's built 1,000 points in the ground up. It feels more like I'll take a 2K list and I'll remove units, if that makes sense. And my only slight worry there is that depending on how he deploys, could find himself without the power to deal with Angron, depending on where he ends up. So there's a lot of good useful units. Whether he can focus and condense enough to deal with those big threats is the question for me. So I think we're in for a good game. They know each other well. They know each other's play style well. And it was interesting to hear Phil say at the start there that sometimes when he plays Greg, he sends everything turn 1. Then he'll play him the next game and he doesn't. I think there's going to be a lot of mind games here, and it might not be the typical World Eater Sisters game you'd expect because they both know each other so well. So either way, I think it's going to be a fun one. I think turn 1's quite big here because the advantage of turn 1 is that you effectively get an extra round to score those bodyguarding points. So with the Berserkers, with the sticky objectives, if Angron doesn't die and comes back again and you can put pressure on Phil, maybe Greg can score good points.
Well, it looks like our players. It looks like our players are good to go, actually. So we'll have to catch up on your thoughts as we go through the game, there, Nathan. I'm sure you'll share them. I'll bring the players in again, just so they can talk us through what's deployed where, and then we'll go from there. So please, if you could go ahead first. Phil, would you like to take us away?
Yeah, so put some Marco Flagelants on the left flank. Not quite on the line, but fairly advanced. I've got some Celestian Sacrosants just behind with the Hospitaller. Tank Castigator just behind in the ruins with the battle cannon. I've put the Dominions, the Bolter with the Simulacrum on my home objective. Got a Canoness there. I have the Exorcist just on the home objective as well. I've got a Immolator just pushed a little bit forward, and the Mortifier on the far side, far flank. Greg, to you?
Conversely, everything is on the line. We've got some World Eaters and some Jackals on the right flank. Same in the middle with the Brigand. And then on the left flank, we've got 5 Berserkers and Angron. Yeah.
Okay, right. So what we'll do is we'll let you roll. Been silenced. What we'll do is we'll let you guys roll for first turn. And see where we go from here. That is a 6 from Greg and a 3 from the sisters. Does he want to sub a miracle dice in? No. Never mind. Save them for later.
I think that's the third 6 he's rolled in 4 dice. Who needs miracle dice if you feel?
No, so is that Greg going first, though?
Yeah.
It is Greg going first. So, good luck. have you got your secondaries ready and good to go?
Got them here. I'm gonna
Got
got some
them ready,
cards
but
here.
yeah.
All right, so let's draw them, and then I'd ask the commentators to make note of what's coming through.
So there's your. There's the secret.
Good shuffle.
So use the secret ones.
What's that?
Use the secret ones.
You can do. Go through.
So what are your predicted scores for this one, gents?
20-0.
Just changed
Start, Nathan.
because with Phil going first, my predicted score just changed. That was the result I wanted. If the World Eaters deploying on the line, I wanted them going first so they could get stuck in there. I think though it might still be a bit of a, I think maybe 12-8 to Sisters, just because of the versatility and the power of those miracle dice. I don't know what you think there, Ben.
It's going to be very interesting to see what Phil does turn one, because I think Greg's been quite clever here. He's deployed on the line, which I think is what you expect from World Eaters, but
Yeah.
he's deployed in a way. He's got that top squad there of Berserks that Castigator might be tempted to pop its head out and have a go at them.
Let's see.
The
Let's see.
Brigand sat there. It's going to be interesting. I at the moment I would go 14-6 to Phil would be my gut.
There we go. And let's get those secondaries, please, then, Greg.
Overwhelming force.
Overwhelming force, not great for the first turn.
No, and extend battle lines.
That is great for the first turn.
Yeah.
So overwhelming, is that one that you can discard on the first turn?
I think so.
Does it? If you check the wording on the top.
It's just as while as card is active, each stamina enemy unit.
No, is there a line above the top?
No.
Let's have a look. No, that's true.
Oh wow.
Yeah, in GW's logic, it's not acceptable for you to get
Okay.
Yeah, I've got to
some
stop me before
secondaries
you do
turn
it.
one, and then one that's near impossible to get is perfectly fine, and you have to
Does
keep
seem a little
it.
counterproductive, doesn't it?
Alright.
It's an odd one, that one.
So have you made note of that for the commentators? We've got overwhelming and we've got extend battle lines. So
Extend.
okay. So please, you got your CPs, gents,
Yeah.
and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Let's roll some dice.
Right.
Some
I
hot
really like
dice.
what Phil's done here with this deployment, Ben. Like that Castigator, if you look at the way the deployment's set up, it's almost got like two perfect sight lines just by nudging its way up into that little nook behind those buildings. It's protected because of the footprints, and it can come in and command quite a lot of the middle of the board immediately. So I think that's going to be quite challenging for Greg to be able to move his Berserkers up unmolested at that point. He's going to really have to try and hug that terrain.
Yeah, I'm surprised at where Angron is, to be honest.
He hasn't got a lot to
He
go
might-
for, has he?
No, I mean, yes, he's got ridiculous movement. Depending on the blessing rolls, he obviously can get that extra couple of inches. But
We do
I
have
do-
enough doubles for the +2 inches of movement. I don't know if
Those are his corn dice. What are you going to go for?
+2 to move.
+2 to move.
Feel no pain for the
I
army.
feel no
And
pain.
I feel no pain.
almost a staple for turn 1 World Eaters if you're not in
Yeah,
a position to advance and charge.
Makes perfect sense. I mean, as I said, I think Angron, where he is, it's going to be difficult for him to get involved in the first couple of turns, but maybe he can move him up behind the terrain, stay safe for a turn. It depends how aggressive Phil's going to be.
Part of me is thinking that maybe it would be to Phil's benefit to just throw Angron into a position where it would make, well, it might make Phil show him a few things, but use Angron as a distraction card effects, because as you said before, he can come back. Those Berserkers, everyone that goes down is attacks that aren't going to get made in melee.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was an interesting first turn for Phil there, and I think we shouldn't gloss over that was literally I think he moved just the one unit, which interesting
Did I
approach.
mix something up? Has Phil had a turn and he just moved one thing and
Yes,
called it?
yeah. So Phil literally moved the
No, sorry, it's Greg first. I think you mixed up the dice there.
Ah,
Yeah. I
That's
thought
why
you
I
would
was
said
like- I
he's
was
rolling 4
confused then. I
sixes
was
in a
like-
row. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, hold up, that's a bit weird. But yeah, so it
Yeah.
looks like so.
it can't be, because you can't get onto a no man's objective in deployment unless he's scouted it. Maybe it was a scout move. We might have missed that while we were chatting.
Who's on? Oh yeah, scout move. Did you scout move something?
Yeah, Scout moved the immolator.
There you go.
Okay, that makes sense. So it was Greg's
Perfect.
first turn. So I think Phil moving doing the scout move there through us. It looked like Phil was first turn.
Yeah.
Now that changes things.
If the immolator's got scout, and there's going to be something in that. So if he does
Yes, it'll be the
throw
battle
anger on it,
sisters. Yeah, I mean, it just means now is how aggressive is Greg going to be? Phil has positioned that castigator in a way that it looks like it'll be able to move and pivot and get a line of sight around the corner.
And
So if those berserks
Greg's got the
just sit
one that
there,
he
they could be in trouble.
and Greg's got the one he didn't want to get on the advance of those berserkers there, I'd say.
I'm looking at him touch those berserkers and point that measuring tape to objective 2 in the top there, and I'm just thinking to myself, don't do it. It's bait. Oh, there we go. Smart.
I'm
That's good.
I
Sliding
actually
them.
think I think rolling the ones actually inadvertently saved him there. I mean, if
Yeah,
he'd
because
got a
he
big
thought to
advance and
himself-
sat on that objective, he could have been in
Yeah.
trouble.
Because it's great to hold an objective at the end of a turn, but he's not going to survive to score it. So I think being, like, husbanding your strength a little bit, holding back, and then getting that extra bit of speed.
Here he goes.
Oh, he is going for it. Oh dear.
In his mind.
He is asking though. Yeah, I think the castigator, I believe, is move 10, which I think even without a laser pen to check the line, I don't think that'll. Yeah, he's getting.
Yeah,
shot.
it's more the question of with a pivot, he should still be able to get wholly within. It could be a good move by Greg because that brigand, in theory, can just step forward next turn, pump a couple of melter shots into the castigator.
Do you think it's bait?
Not intentional bait. I think it might end up being a decent move. I mean, if the brigand gets some early shots in the castigator, maybe a couple of berserk stay alive and get a charge. He keeps the 2 damage guys alive, but
Yeah.
I do worry that berserk squad is going to just disappear. It doesn't look like a jackal squad from here. It looks like a 5 berserks.
You're right. I think from playing devil's advocate for a moment, if you're Greg, you know that Phil does have that exorcist tank, and with that in mind, having been on the receiving end of those playing a Space Marine bodied army at 1,000 points, you do kind of feel like there's nothing you can do to get away from it. So maybe he's thinking, even if I hide them, they're going to be picking up a bunch of damage to blast weapon hits anyway. So maybe he's just going for it with that in mind.
Yeah, I mean, he does have the feel no pain as well, and on the 2 wound berserks as well. So might be enough to keep him alive.
So where are we at?
So movement complete. Yeah. I've got no shooting and I've got no charging, so that's my turn.
That's your turn. So did you score any secondary?
Yeah.
We got 5 for extend battle lines,
Yeah.
So
and
he
then we
does,
couldn't score overwhelming force.
no extend.
So
And what are you going to do with overwhelming?
So you can get rid of it for the CP, can't you?
You can.
do. Or you
Yeah.
can keep it if you feel you can score it next go.
So overwhelming is extend is done, which is great. He's going to hold on. to
Yeah,
it.
I think
would
overwhelming
bin
is
it.
quite
Actually,
good
I'll keep it.
to hang on.
I'll
with
keep it.
to-
He's going to
but-
keep it. He is keeping it. Okay, so that's done.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go into Phil's turn. So Phil, if you could please draw your secondaries and start turn 2.
Cool. So secondaries first. Sabotage and containment.
So that is sabotage and containment.
We kind of like this. Now, I think, Ben, to the point you said about keeping overwhelming force for turn 2, I think given the situation, if I were Phil, I wouldn't be pushing on to objectives this turn. I would just be trying to clear them instead. Overwhelming force does
No, and
require that.
Yeah, that was what I was going to. It's normally quite a nice one to hang on to going into second turn, but Phil can just sit on that objective with where he is already with the immolator on. I think it's the immolator on the scout move. You can sit on that objective, pick up the. But you can't get to him an overwhelming.
And he's
Containment is a great.
Phil has
that
just
turn.
got to roll 2 6s for his miracle dice. So that is
I want them checked by an independent adjudicator at this point. They are absolute filth.
Yeah, I think that's 5 6s in 7 dice now, so it's getting.
Does he
He's
even
doing well.
need the ability to change his dice at this stage of the game?
I mean, they're good secondaries for Phil. Those
Oh, they're
he's-
fantastic.
I think the only slight issue he might have is that unit at the top of the map by objective 11 are well positioned to pick up a containment, but he probably just has the movement to get onto the objective, and that I see it to stop Greg scoring the primary in case he doesn't kill that unit.
We've got options here.
Yeah, I think he's got. It's whether he's got. I don't know if he's got movement to get containment on the bottom ledge.
No, I think the Seraphim are in Deep Strike Reserve, which means they wouldn't be able to drop in
Yeah,
at
it
this stage.
doesn't look like there's anything to pick up that 3 on the bottom side of the board. And then the challenge he's got is, what does he sabotage with if he's containing with that top unit?
Well, he does
Potentially then-
have some chaffy little units. He has a unit of 3 Arcoflagellants. They kind of do little to nothing, and I think he has some Mortifiers as well, which are, you know, small throwaway units that I don't think will do a significant amount this early in the
Yeah,
game, and he can just use them early for this.
Oh, absolutely. I think that the danger is if he pops something out to sit on objective 10, for example, to sabotage, he's now another 3 inches closer to those advanced and charging world eaters,
He is.
who can then springboard into his tanks off of those kills. So it's quite risky. It could actually be quite dangerous. He could inadvertently give the world eaters that extra 3-4 inches that means instant death.
I
Is
think
quite
what
a
Bill might
possibility.
need to consider as well is that now that those Jackals have moved onto 2 separate objectives, I think, from what I can see here, that will mean that they will both get the ability. I think they can re-roll a single blessing of corn dice for each Jackal holding an objective down, which means he can
Absolutely.
really fish for that advance and charge for the extra speed if he needs it. He can even maybe go for something like lethal hits if he finds his way into a tank. So
He
it
can
may have
and
some options.
he can also get re-rolls from his berserks as well on objectives. So Greg's built a list that can really let him fish for 6s, so he can afford to put Angron out there and potentially manipulate the dice and bring him back. I'm a bit concerned about Phil's placement here on that middle objective, because it's almost perfectly set
He's
up
giving
for
it.
the World Eaters to come fly. I mean, even Angron might be able to get there with an advance and charge. I think Phil's just realised that.
Yes, and Barry Barfly in the chat picked up on something that I was going to touch on myself, around how sisters may and should maybe aim to play this. And I agree with Barry, because this is how I played against Mike in round 1 of the league, and he had an Angron-based World Eater list. If you eliminate all of the units around Angron, the ability of the World Eater player to score primary or secondary points becomes very, very limited indeed. And if he plays with that in mind and can maybe get Greg down to 1 unit plus Angron left by the middle of turn 3, the primary situation might just push Phil straight over the top.
So I think Phil's just finished his movement phase there. Is that right?
Yeah, just one thing to move.
Just one more thing to move.
Nathan there, I think absolutely it's the right way to play it. I think the benefit Greg has is multiple units with sticky objectives, and for a CP he can stick in an objective when he dies on it. So have the ability still to pick up just raw primary by sticking those objectives and moving up the board.
Yeah. So even killing him
counter
may not stop it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's secondaries I think is going to win or lose this game.
I think the movement phase is done, so I think we're going to jump into some fun shooting bits. So Josh, we'll hand back to you.
Yeah, well, we're just going into the shooting phase for Phil now, so it's a big one. So talk us through it, Phil.
Yeah, I'm gonna obviously I've moved the castigator forward to peep out the ruins. Going to try and kill some berserkers. Then I have the only other thing I'm shooting is the indirect piece, which is the exorcist. Again, going to try and shoot something else. See if we can produce some numbers.
Something else. What's the AP on?
This is the bit where World Eaters get a little bit confused and wonder why the game's taking so long.
What do you mean? He has 20 pistols. There's plenty of shooting.
Castigator
We'll need
into
the players to skip shooting phases without just ignoring the pistols completely.
Yeah, unless you're playing guard or sisters, in fairness, at T3, then it's maybe worth shooting the pistols.
Ooh.
Comment from the players that they know each other's armies just as well as each other. They play each other so often. I'm hoping for something that's a bit out of the ordinary on the score, though.
So it's basically 0.
Yeah.
Saves just 3.
Yeah.
So 1's gone. Oh, got feel no pain though.
2's gone. Was that 1 and a 2?
Yeah, so that's
2.
2 wounds, isn't it?
2 each.
Or the 2 each. So
Yeah.
4 feel no pains.
Yep.
6 plus.
This is gonna suck.
Still there. And then
Still, end of the day, there's still 2 wound marines. So
gone. So took 1.
And that's what you got to love about Feel No Pains on two wound models.
Just throws that combat
back
math
on.
out.
I mean, I do think this is quite a bit of a ploy from Greg here. I think he expects to lose the unit, and then we'll just stick it when he dies.
I was about to say that. Yeah, I think that when you mentioned it, I didn't realize they were able to sticky with a stratagem when they die on it. So that is
Yeah, I think
really
I was
smart.
surprised Phil didn't just move a couple of sisters on the inside of that objective, just
to take it.
just in case. The only thing I am surprised at is I probably would have expected seen Greg use, if he was intending that, I would have thought it would be a Jackal squad. The one sat behind the home building would have done it rather than berserkers. But if a couple do survive and can burst through that wall, then it will be carnage. So.
3 damage. That castigator battle cannon is brutal.
I mean, I do think Greg will lose the unit, but I would point out it's interesting that he's also taken the models from the front, which
means he can't sticky it now or not, because he's no longer on
they
it.
They were on the objective, but what surprised me is that if one did survive,
then he can't, because at that point,
and it's significantly closer to the charge through the wall, so he's probably going to lose them anyway. But I think it probably would have made more sense to pull from the back, just in case they survive.
If one berserker gets through on the charge, it's what, strength 6, 5 attacks, AP 1 against a unit of sisters. It may shred it on its own.
And also the one on the objective means he saves a CP. He already owns it. So if they don't all die, quite big. But he does have the indirect still, so they probably will go down.
Yeah, and I think it is definitely in Phil's best interest to concentrate each squad of berserkers one at a time, just to limit Greg's options. Oh, this is not looking good.
Twos. 2 go through, -3. So -2 would have been.
So
-2 AP. I think these are off the Exorcists.
Nope.
Potentially.
So the first one is 4.
Where were these coming from, Phil?
These come from this. Well, this is the Exorcist.
The Exorcist. This is the Exorcist.
Oh, it is, yes.
Yeah.
So 4 feel no pains. Gone. And then 5. Yeah, gone. So 2 more to gone.
Front to back?
D6
2 at the
damage in
front.
direct fire.
Yeah, didn't play that very well.
That went as everyone thought it was going to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Running berserkers into the open is never good for your health.
It is, but if that's the end of the shooting and that one at the back survives, again, as I mentioned, he would have had one sat on the objective still. He should also now get a blood surge, because if that unit's finished shooting, he's lost models. He should be able to move forward D6
Right,
as
so
well.
it's worth reminding the players who's quite new. Do you not get blood surges when you get shot?
I do with them,
Yeah.
So he may be able to push that one guy up into a position to do something.
Yeah, but he will. This is one on the objective would still be, and they could have now, when he got shot, he could have hidden behind the wall. So it's some minute little changes there that open up the ability to manipulate the movement.
You don't have to blood surge, no, you don't. And is it every time you get shot?
Every time he kills one of your units.
Yeah, every time he kills a unit,
Wow.
a model.
Kills a bloke in a unit,
So you could have done that like twice. Wow.
No, I think it's just once per.
It's once per turn.
Each time, this unit can be moved a number of inches equal
It's
to
each time,
itself.
which is why.
It is each time, yeah.
If my loss from the unit with a
Yeah, the squad itself could have got
each time.
2 blood surges.
So each time you shoot.
Potentially there's potentially 12 inches of extra movement on the
So
table.
it's-
here.
Yeah, that's to be fair.
It's one of the strategies that World Eaters use, which is, you moving up into a position. You know you're going to lose 1 or 2, hoping to get a blood surge to get them out of line of sight, and or
Absolutely. Jump behind the wall.
or get behind a wall, and or if you get shot again, getting into combat. So that could have been 2.
Everyone must recon that.
Oh, it's horrific.
Yeah, I mean,
it's really powerful.
The guy on the front of the objective at the start would have potentially
Piled
had to
through.
get through the wall into combat and pick up one of Phil's units in his turn, and that's where World Eaters can just be so dangerous.
But as we mentioned, this is only Greg's second sort of competitive style game with this, so they're obviously.
Sorry, we've had a take back there. I just want to clarify what's happened there, Phil.
So yeah, I realised that the cards I picked was containment, and I intended to move to the sides to do the containment, but I advanced both units, so just ask Greg.
If you can take that back. Okay, yeah, fine.
And that's my go.
If you give me 3 berserkers back, then I'll let you.
It's just asking for more berserkers back. Don't know if that's sportsmanship going too far.
In the centre is going to try and do the
More
sabotage.
berserkers means more fun.
She's
to
within
fight
that middle
for, so I'm
quadrant.
for it.
Till the end of your next go. So, in terms of points, containment for 2 containments, and then that's it. That's my go.
So that's 2. Just to catch up with you, gents, that's 2 containments for 6 points.
Yeah.
And what was the other one?
Sabotage is somewhere, isn't it?
And that's
at the end of Greg's
and who's doing that?
the Canoness.
Canoness in that building, in the centre of the board. Thank you very much. Okay, and that takes us.
That is pending.
Yeah, that takes us on to Greg's turn 2. So please, Greg, you've kept overwhelming force. So if you can kill a unit on an objective, that's 5 points. Or is it 3 and then 5 if it's 2 units, I believe?
Yeah, it's 3 for 1.
3
and
up
then
to
2.
5, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. And so you can now draw an additional one because you scored extend. So please,
Get rid of extend.
yeah, you go up a CP.
Yep.
This next one is
It does have
cleanse.
3 CP.
And cleanse, which is a nightmare scenario for all world eaters everywhere, except you have got some options to do it.
Yeah. Okay, so we need the CP.
2. To re-roll a dice as well.
Are you on 2 or 3 CP?
2.
Did you use one already?
I haven't used one, no. I thought we had 1 for the first.
No, you
Luckily in
didn't
this
get any
mission, the
cards. I
bodyguard
just
mechanic cleanse is actually a pretty decent one to get, because really you want to be dedicating a unit to sit and bodyguard anyway, so it may as well cleanse.
Yeah.
But yeah, bodyguarding is not an action, so it can do both. And as Josh pointed out, there are jackals in positions to do that, and you're not going to be throwing your jackals up as frontline combat troops in this sort of fight, so it's a perfect opportunity to get some passive score here.
Yeah, so I'm just, I think, you know what, obviously Greg's picked up 8 primary, was it this turn?
But you haven't scored the primary yet. I think he's just doing his I don't know what that's
Corn
called.
rolls.
Yeah, the corn rolls.
Blessings of Cole. He's got a 555. I think that basically lets him do whatever the hell he wants.
5, double 2, double 4. Yeah, plenty of
So
options.
he can do with 555. He has access to advance and charge, and that can also be whatever else he wants it to be as well. So there is potential for
Advance
carnage.
and
here.
charge, maybe +2 as well.
Oh yeah, go
Maybe-
all in.
Phil no got another double. Yeah, maybe wants that Feel No Pain though.
Why would you want to feel no pain if you're slapping first? At this point, I'd be thinking to myself, if it's go turn, then I need every little bit of movement that I can get to guarantee that it's going to be as chaotic as possible.
Every turn's go turn, right? With the world
I don't
eaters.
think where the position of Phil's bottom units here that he needs the with the advance and charge. I think there could be some carnage here.
So how much have you decided? Sorry, Greg.
So I've decided 1. Advance in charge.
So that's advance and charge.
Oh boy,
And
10 +2.
I'm trying to project +2
Uh,
movement into
It's
his
between
head.
sustained and +2 to move.
He's gone for the +2. There you go. You're happy boy, Nathan.
+2.
And,
Let's go!
and what's your what's your secondary primary score this turn then?
So I'm on this objective, aren't I?
Yeah.
I'm on
Middle
this
one?
one.
And can you guard them? I don't think you can guard them turn 1. So I think
Turn
Because
one,
the player at the end, turn 2.
so that's going to be 10. Is it 4 points per primary?
That's
So
eight,
Yeah.
eight
Eight.
points he'll pick
Yeah.
up there. Yeah, I mean it could have been a big 12, and I think he might
So-
kick himself when he realises that one berserker surviving would have been on the
we'll just
objective,
call that a
12
draw, guys.
points.
Great game. See you next
Quite
time.
happy at that stage.
Josh, could I ask you to do me a favour regarding chat? So Shadow199 is asking if there are any models in Deep Strike. I believe it's just the Seraphim.
Yeah, that's a good point, guys. We're just wondering, play game state. What's in Deep Strike?
For me, just from Seraphim,
Yeah,
and for Greg, nothing.
Nothing for
there
me.
you go. I hope you heard that, chat.
I didn't quite catch that, Josh. Would you be able to repeat that, please?
Yeah, sorry. So, Seraphim for Phil and nothing for Greg.
Okay, yeah, so it is just that one unit of Seraphim with double bolt pistols hanging around in Deep Strike. He's about to do some big overwhelming force.
Yeah, if Greg can connect here, it could do some serious damage to Phil.
How fast is Angron when he's just fine? Because he's got a little speed bump of his own, doesn't he?
So
He's got a Wrathful Presence ability which can make him +1 to charge. In addition
it's
to the
normally
+2.
14-inch movement.
Right. Not sure what to do. Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like I've got like
Currently
I feel
16
like I've
with
got
advance
camera
and charge at the
shy, like-
moment, +1 to
And
his
+1 to
charge.
charge. So it's a minimum charge roll of 3, which would mean that he would be able to 16 plus a minimum advance of 1, 17. Angron's going 20 inches if all ones are rolled. So there's a radius of destruction here that I think that Greg can mess around with.
Beautiful statement. Radius of
He
destruction.
definitely think he's going to need a decent advance roll. Looking at the position of Angron to get round that building, he's again maybe Angron should have been a little bit further right up behind that blue perspex.
Yeah.
With a clear move forward, it probably buys him another 6 inches this turn. So only minute difference there, but that gives him a much more aggressive ability to come flying out.
Yeah, as in many situations in life, all those extra inches can really count. So you don't want to take any off yourself.
And there's our first penis joke in the bag.
Someone had to do it. Someone had to do it. It's out of the way now. There's no pressure.
A child-friendly show.
They can't hear all the penis jokes. Thankfully, the players. So try not to distract them too much. What was I going to say? Are we all familiar with our strats on your side of the table, Greg?
Yes.
Got them firmly in your mind. And you, Phil's been to quite a few competitive events now on Team Wales, and I think he's one of the cohort that's really starting to skill up. And it's all part of our objective here at Hot Dice to kind of like level up the skill of the Welsh team, and you know, go higher.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's funny that you mentioned strats there, Josh, because Fiend M8 in the chat did just note that there is a World Eaters strat that gives them a 1 CP auto advance 6. Now, if you slap that on Angron, that pushes him up to 22 inches before the charge. That could be the thing that he needs to guarantee that delivery.
Just trying to figure out what to do.
Greg seems to be lost for what to do. I think there's usually only one strategy.
Yeah.
Smash. Greg smash.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to tell from this view how far that Angron needs to go. I mean, looking at it, you'd think with at least 22-inch movement he can get to within charge range.
I think he can get to that immolator if he gives himself the 6-inch flat. Because I'm eyeballing the blurry measuring tape from here. I'm thinking that looks like about 8 inches. So if he can give himself flat 20 before the charge, he can get to that immolator without breaking a sweat.
I think we need 2 tape measures to figure this one out.
I think the advance and charge is that Jackal squad and that Berserk squad sat on that middle objective should have the movement and the range to get onto that second middle objective there, come through the wall, get into the immolator.
Start tying things up.
To do that, yeah, absolutely. Angron can focus on that the unit at the bottom of Phil's pick that up.
I agree with you. He doesn't need to commit Angron right now, but if he keeps hiding him, the only viable targets that Phil's going to see is the stuff that Greg would rather not die. I think he needs to show Angron and maybe make Phil panic and like devote resources to killing him, because there's a chance that Angron doesn't get killed, and if he does, there's a chance that it comes back, which gives the rest of his army time. Big distraction Carnifex energy is what I'm thinking here.
I'd like to see the Brigand come out to play, because I think that also gives Phil a question. If Angron pops out, the Brigand pops out.
Ask and you shall receive.
There
I
we
think
go.
he's bringing it out to line it up on the Castigator, and I think the Brigand's got some pretty gnarly melter profiles on it.
He has. He's got his 2 shots at 24 inches. He is a Brigand, so he's hitting on 3s. It's only strength 12 though. So, but I think the Cascade is only T11, so he will.
It's actually hitting on 2s. It is strength 12, but it's very accurate. It won't be within melter range for that sweet melter 4 profile. But the other thing that needs to be considered with these guys as well is that every Sister's vehicle has an invulnerable save, and he can chuck a miracle dice into that to keep it alive.
Yeah, it's the 2 shots is the issue there. He's not going to kill it, but
no.
At least, as you said, talk about distraction Carnifex. It gives, if he brings Angron out now, Phil's got a decision to make.
Yeah.
If not, that Brigand keeps moving down the field, gets itself into melter range, does some damage. It has got the big chain cannon as well, so if it can get a line of sight on one of those squishy Sisters units, it can do some real damage.
Yeah. It's a lesson I learned the hard way when I first started playing at D-Side Defenders probably about a year ago now, is that I used to drip feed my threats in. It's if you're going to show your opponent something, show them everything and make them make decisions, and if they get it wrong, that's to your benefit. And I think that's definitely what Greg needs to do here.
Absolutely. I mean, they've got that Jackal squad top right of the screen that's sat behind the home not the home objective, sat behind the 3-story. Again, bring it out. There's not really much reason for it being sat there now.
I would say with the round base and the wings and everything on Angron, you don't need to rotate him anymore because his wings and everything pass through walls.
He is.
So it gets a free pivot.
Yep. No pivot.
And he gets a free pivot. Yeah.
So it's like 7. Still.
I think he is going. He looks like he's triangulating to go for it.
Yeah, I imagine he's going to have to move probably at least 8 inches to clear his base there, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I just really hope that Greg recognises that 1 CP auto 6-inch advanced stratagem is in his pocket and he has the CP to burn. It looks like he might have done it to get that extra movement there, because that's quite fast.
That is significant. Well, there is a 3 in the dice box, so I'm wondering if he's rolled a 3 on the advance there.
Okay.
Well, again, could that lack of 3 inches come back to haunt him if he fails the charge?
Well, he can reroll that charge with the CP, and he will have +1 to charge because of Angron's natural angriness that he's got going on. And hopefully that'll be enough to carry him through, because if Angron gets stranded there, that's going to suck.
So he's done the reactive move.
Oh, wait, they've got a reactive move strat. It's almost like Sisters have all the tools.
That charge a little bit longer for the units he cares about.
I don't think that would... See, to me, I like where his head's at, trying to avoid the charge, but if Angron gets into the unit, he doesn't care about that 3-inch consolidation. Is going to just let it get in anyway.
I was about to say, it potentially allows Angron to...
I'm just going to go AFK for 2 seconds.
From here. If Angron can get a big charge off, he could now potentially go into both units. I mean, it's a risky one. I imagine he'll play it safe and just hit that bottom unit, consolidate back onto the objective, get himself out of line of sight, at least for the tanks where they sit now.
Yeah, I think it's part of me is just thinking that this is probably the turn, isn't it? In terms of just you need.
Wow. So
ooh, what's happening?
that looks like he's rolling some attack. So
Strength is only 6.
That sounds like strength 6. It looks like it's the chain cannon from the Brigand firing at the only target he's got, which might be the Castigator.
Any any
-2 it'll be.
-2? Oh,
Because the closest, yeah.
Just the one, so I need a 5 up. Nope.
No.
1 damage?
1 damage here.
Cool.
First blood drawn by the World Eaters, damage starting to go in.
Oh, what's the range? Am I in range?
That is a good question. I don't know.
Might not even be a range. Oh, yeah,
You're in range. That's 24 inches.
24.
So I will also. I mean, we're obviously shooting now. I'm astonished that Greg hasn't sent those middle objective berserkers and jackals into Greg's
Strength
front
12,
line.
toughness 10.
Threes.
I think he's offering Angron as bait, but maybe he's
Where's the bait?
concerned
I'm gonna
with
see
deep
the
strikers
CP
coming
ones
in,
there, yeah.
pinching an
But after
objective.
that, I think-
I'm not sure. I think one of those units definitely
Yeah.
should have gone.
Oh no, threes.
Yeah, I mean,
No, it's just the one.
like you said before, Nathan, about trying to make your opponent make
Oh,
decisions.
that a three?
That
That's a
berserker
three.
hidden
Is
behind
it?
the crate at the top, you
Okay.
maybe stick him on 11.
One.
It
Yeah.
then means Phil's got to
Yeah. Oh,
commit
no.
something to deal with it. That's another unit
No, it's
that's not shooting at
Looks like a
Angron.
three, but it's not.
Been that, guys.
Make him make the
Two times
decisions,
what you
pop
meant.
the,
I missed it.
send us the
That's annoying.
jackals out, tow that objective to
I've got
take it off
the
Phil.
Havoc multi-launcher.
Castigator's
Yeah,
then
where
got
you
a
putting
choice: do I shoot Angron or do I deal with the unit denying me primary? So potentially Angron could be left a little bit in trouble here
Put that into these sisters.
if he's
Okay.
on his own.
Shots.
If he's on his own in the front line, with the amount of melter that's
Hitting
floating
on
about, you
twos.
could see a
Put
dead
it in
Angron.
direct, so it's blast.
Angron does have an
Yeah,
invulnerable
yes,
save, and I think
yeah.
Huey in the chat, I'm kind of with him on this one. He's just screaming blood
No,
for the
that's a
blood
two.
god in
That's a two,
all
that's a
caps, and this is definitely where I'd be
Yeah,
going
dice
right
off.
now. It would be like very much an all-in
It's a
poker
two.
player move where you
And-
just shovel the
and-
chest to the middle.
Absolutely, the
Step
jackals,
five,
the
so it's
berserkers, send them
Jesus.
onto that
Yeah.
middle objective.
My
Get
way.
into combat, because obviously if he gets into combat as well, can't be shot. So he forces Phil hands into falling back. So there's all sorts of. You can get your world eaters into the front lines. You know it's going to cause some trouble. So maybe sitting back for a turn might come back to haunt him here. Especially if that castigator
What
in
did-
line of sight.
What did I miss?
Well,
So we were just discussing that I think we were expecting Greg to send the jackals and the berserkers on the middle objective into Phil's front lines this turn with the advance and charge, and he's chosen just to send Angron on his own. So we're just curious, obviously, if Angron will pick up this unit, but there's no other threats anywhere. Phil can dedicate his entire army into Angron if he wishes to.
He
Without
does have
any
options to shoot at the brigand, which may save Angron for some fire.
Hang on, what's this about Angron?
I picked an aura at the start.
Yeah.
So +1 to charge.
Okay.
Yeah,
Charge
boy.
rolls.
Okay.
So,
No, yeah.
So what's the charge? You got to go for the castigator charge, you?
Yeah. The immolator, is it? So it's 8
wow,
that
he's,
+1, either 7.
Yeah.
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 What have you got? Plus
That's what I
2.
would do.
You did advance charge, didn't you?
he's got
And
Advance
plus
charge
two.
plus
Warning,
1.
blessings.
Ah,
he's +1 and
He did
3
plus
rolls.
two.
So
Okay.
Advance in charge and
Yeah.
+2 move.
plus 2 move.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
he's done all of that
Yeah,
to
and
get
then-
him to where he is now.
which
so
has
it's
got
all
me
down to
there,
the
and
dice gods.
the aura that you use +1 to charge.
Okay, here's the big roll.
Dice for the dice god.
Ah!
That ain't it.
That's a double 1.
CP reroll.
Gonna have to
CP
see-
reroll.
You
Don't waste it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got any CP left?
Got one.
Okay.
Attaboy. He's going for
This
it.
is big.
This is big.
This is big.
Double 1 dice.
This is
No,
making me
don't-
uncomfortable.
Don't be that guy.
yeah, this turn
Ah,
can go
8.
real nasty.
Oh, there it is. That's a
Oh.
9. That's gotta be it.
God, that gave me goosebumps.
Well, that's 9. isn't
Tagged it.
Crazy.
Let's go.
With the party, I mean, he should be able to get within engagement range.
He's probably hitting all of it. At this point, Angron just go burr, right? So he just spins around and terrible things happen. Oh, Huey in the chat, he's on the ball with the law. 8 is in fact the number of corn, so that has gone very well.
8, the number of corn. The chat's saying.
It is a league game, James. In response to your question, it's the battle of the brothers. I mean, effectively, it's Phil playing with his brothers and his sisters. If you can get your head around that.
Well done. Excellent dad joke there. Respect that.
Thank you, Nathan. I had that one written down. Been waiting for the right time.
It is time.
I had a message from Adam saying must inject humour, so I thought I'd better pre-prepare a few jokes.
I mean, I don't know. I'm feeling a bit dizzy. I'm not used to jokes from Ben, so.
It's okay. We'll make him stop from now on. I'll take the burden from here on in.
As you said, Josh, this is about development and learning. So let's all be better people from it.
Ben trying to develop a sense of humor. Okay, so
Let's do the sweep.
looks like
Okay.
he's in.
Because they're all in range, it doesn't matter.
What
It's
infantry
just
squad is that? Is that the squad of
Yeah.
Dominions that he's stuck into as well?
I think it's the Seraphim squad because they had the reactive move earlier on.
That reactive move was a stratagem. I think this might be the Sacristans.
That's
Yeah,
right. So
very-
this is what's this unit you're into here? The emulator and what unit? The
Dominions, are they?
Dominions.
Yeah, they're with the melters.
The melters. So yeah, this is one we
Oh,
wanted to
he's
pick up
managed to-
early.
He's managed to get stuck into the Dominion squad with the melter guns. If they are gone, the ability to crack armor is significantly diminished on Phil's side of things.
Well, if that armor's gone, I think the only armor he cares about is the one plating Angron's angry hide. So
Yeah, I mean, imagine if that Lurker and Jackal unit just was into the Castigator as well. This would have been a
Would have been
huge
messy.
turn.
I can understand when it's something that I used to think about a lot when I started playing competitively, is that you put a plan together in your head and you religiously stick to it, but sometimes opportunities come up and you've got to just take them. And I think with advance and charge being on the cards turn 2, even if I wanted to play cautiously, if there's an option for me to get everything stuck in, at that point I feel like you've just got to take it when it's on the table and go. He may not get a better opportunity.
Agreed, yeah. If Angron whiffs here, doesn't do the damage he needs to do, the opportunity's gone. I mean, he's still in a position to score some primary.
That's a lot of dice being thrown.
A lot of ones.
Nah, not enough, I don't think. Angron's melee profile is pretty disgusting, isn't it? Accusations of dodgy dice being
Yeah,
thrown
so
around by
it
the
doesn't-
sister player is interesting.
finally got a smile from the World Eater player because he gets to hit something.
Yeah. I found it really strange, Josh, that First Blood was drawn by some shooting from the War Dog Brigand. I was just like, this isn't right. It's not how this is supposed to go down. Yeah, it looks like what Phil's gone for here. He's gone for the sweep attacks. That is 18 attacks with AP2 2 damage. That will shred more or less anything that's not attack.
We have a brace of dead dominions.
I think they're all dead.
Yeah, I think why. I mean, maybe could have split attacks there, but I think why a sensible decision: get rid of the melters, get rid of the dominions. That's the real potential threat. I mean, Angron's still going to potentially take some damage.
Yeah. That tank can shoot at
the
Angron while it's in
bracket.
combat with it, but you have to also
Yeah,
have to
it's
think,
got
Ben.
melters.
I think
You
that's
also have to consider.
I think that's top of turn. Sorry. So
Yeah.
sorry, bottom of turn. I always get those mixed up. It's the lingo on the chat.
This is top of turn 2.
This is the top of turn 2. So have you scored anything there?
Yeah, so I cleansed. Oh, just cleanse
Yeah, I
now.
think he picked up
Yeah, he
overwhelming
cleansed
force on
for
those
2.
dominions.
Cleanse 2.
Yep.
Overwhelming force. I've got that as well.
Just a 1?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For 3. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. And that's it.
That's it?
That's it, yeah.
And that's a cracking score. That puts Greg on 18, and Phil's got his turn 2. He's starting with 6.
Is it 20? I make a...
It does
I
look
believe-
like
I believe,
Overwhelming force is
overwhelming
3 and
force,
cleanse
isn't
for
that
2, so
just
that's
flat
4, so
5
puts
if you pull it off
120?
with one unit?
Sorry.
It's not
Puts Greg
gradient.
on 20.
No, it's
Wow.
multiple units now. Yeah.
So we got
Ah,
8
I
for...
Primary.
8 for primary.
I'm guessing is Angron
3
on the
for
objective there?
overwhelming.
It's
Guys,
three
hang on,
back
guys. We're just
9
doing a
for
score
primary.
check. We're just doing a score check. What was that?
So first round we got Greg got extend battle lines.
For 5.
Oh, he didn't get any overwhelming force. So
No.
No. So, and then now he's just got
8.
8 for primary,
For 13.
overwhelming force for 3,
16.
and then cleanse 4.
Did he cleanse 2 objectives?
Cleanse twice.
Oh, I missed the second. Oh, yeah, there's a unit hidden in the bottom of that. That's my bad, gents. Thank you.
Oh, it is.
Sneaky unit. So he's got cleansed for maximum.
Well, we would like to get the tablet and the auto add in and all that sort of stuff. That's going to come with time. We just need to build this community up a little bit. Obviously, we're starting where we are, and we're grateful for the patience for all the viewers and the people in the room. But I think we're getting better every time, and we
Try our best.
we do try. We're a community group, and we've got a Patreon if people want to help support us there. We can get better cameras and stuff like that, sound equipment. But
Huey in chat's made a very valid point as
Okay,
well. We
the
do need to
auto.
deduct 5 victory
Yeah,
points
my
from
go.
the World
Okay.
Eater for shooting to stop
So-
that turn off and getting first blood that way. I think that is a fair compromise.
Right, okay, let's hear from Phil.
So that's my turn, yeah. Do we go through the intention or? Okay, yeah. So we're gonna pick two secondaries first.
My secondary's gone now. Tries
Oh,
to
still
get
got
rid of
sabotage, which now completes, doesn't it?
You got your
At the end
sabotage.
of Greg's go, so do we score that in a second? Yeah, in a
Who was sabotaging? Sorry.
made the canoness.
The Canoness does live.
So that's complete now, yeah.
what I should have done
Do
there.
we score? Do we still pick 2 cards after that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Newly committed sabotage. That's 3 for that. And then engage on all fronts
Engage on all fronts.
and defend stronghold
All you wanted.
Strong.
with an angry Ron looking down my throat. That might be a task. Might be a task, sir. Okay.
Okay.
You've got enough firepower.
Engage on all fronts.
So does Phil not pick up any primary here? Is Angron on that objective? Is he?
Yeah. Did you get any primary, Phil?
Just the one.
Uh,
He's managed to knock me off this one, so just the one primary for 4 points.
Which one has he knocked you off?
So what's the
Six.
Oh, is Angron touching it? Is he?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, he did take him off that one. So it's just 4 for primary.
Which one's he getting the primary from?
Phil, you've got a unit in that building on objective 2. Yeah. What's in there? There's an arco-flagellant in there.
Yeah, that berserk could have prevented that. Never mind.
I mean, Greg is still in a very strong position here. Angron's not only picked up a kill and denied some primary, but he's up in the guts of Phil's army. He has to respond to Angron,
Right
and
then.
Greg
So
can
yeah,
now take the
two
opportunity on
miracle
turn
dice,
3 to just
one
full
for
send the
each
rest of the boys at
one
that
for
point.
simulacrum, so with the
Yeah, I think if
simulacrum
Angron
first,
can
that'll
live here,
focus
Phil's
on
in a bit of
4
trouble.
for 6 failed.
If Angron picks up the is it the immolator he's in, or the it is the immolator? If he can
It is
pick that up
indeed.
in Phil's turn, the next turn go and run riot on the home objective.
Right, it's time to make your pay.
Phil's in real trouble. So big moment in the game here. Will Angron live?
No.
But what could be even better is
Right, so we
that
have an
Phil
angry
kills it,
Ron-sized
and
problem, so
Angron
I
comes
need to
back.
deal with that, really.
That's also on the table as well. Killing Angron is not necessarily a
Does, yes,
guarantee that
but
he doesn't go away.
I think Phil would take that, bearing in mind Angron would have to come
Okay.
back in reserves. Then he's at least 9 inches away. Phil will get
You
a
just
chance
move
to
him then?
maybe. I mean, if Phil was thinking about that now, he might want to try and bring his unit in, screen the side of the board. But
Yeah.
I think he'll just want Angron dead at this point.
I would even be thinking that that back objective is an opportunity for those Seraphim as well. Obviously, there's the War Dog that sat relatively close, but if he waits until turn 3, that War Dog might come forward, and he could sneak the Seraphim onto Greg's home objective through the back door, potentially get some easy scores there. But it depends on what he does, because there's still a unit of Jackals on the top right behind that building, isn't there?
They should have done it by now.
There is, but you're right. If he can get behind that Berserk and Jackal squad on the middle objective, do some real damage there. It's like a third of Greg's army, so it would be a good move. I mean, I'm curious whether Phil's going to bring them in this turn.
I maybe none of the secondaries. Well, he's got engage on all fronts, hasn't he? So he might drop it in the bottom right corner just to pick it up.
So sorry, what was Greg? Greg, what did you do then?
So I've just used the CP to make another blessing of corn roll
Yeah.
after I've destroyed the unit. With
Okay.
Angron, which he did, and I've just rolled it, and he's got feel no
Three
pain now.
sixes.
He's got to feel no pain, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just for this go?
This is not control. Take blessing of corn. You can use the results. I take 1 blessing of corn roll. That blessing of corn does not count towards the maximum act roll what the rules apply. It doesn't say.
So it's just a standard. So it lasts until your next turn, I guess.
But to say fight phase just after a word these units.
Yeah, but
Yes, that's fine. So he
Yeah,
triggers
so-
it.
yeah,
when
it's fine. That's just when
happened.
it's triggered.
So I might
Yeah.
I
But
might be
it
wrong
just
here,
says
but there were 3
that
sixes
where
there,
this
which
is
I
unit,
think means he can keep
make a
them,
blessing
and
of
if
corn
Angron
roll.
dies,
You can
instantly
use
bring
the
him back.
results to activate 1 blessing of corn. That blessing
I
of corn
don't
does
think
not count towards
that'll
your
be how
total
it
max.
works. It's not. So the word on Angron's rule for that Ben is Reborn in Blood. Each time you make a blessing of corn roll, if this model is destroyed. So while it's on the table, the 666s can't be used for it. Angron has to be dead when the roll occurs, so he can't hang on to it. So taking that feel no pain to throw combat math out, I think is the right call here.
Angron has presented himself. I'm just doing some math to figure out the best way to have the best shot at trying to delete him, which is a big ask. It's possible with some shenanigans, I think. But he's too close to me, so if I don't deal with him, he's gonna do some work.
That's what Angron's all about. It's a big,
Yeah.
as the commentators
So I need
said.
to throw as much at
distraction
him as
kind
I
of effects.
can, really, in the hope I can delete him, because this is significant. So
we're still in the movement phase.
yep.
Moving today now.
Just adjusting it, thank you, sir.
So I am somewhat confused that it appears that Phil is now in live chat in comments. I'm guessing it's not Phil sneakily under the table watching the stream.
Yeah, there is another Phil Roberts.
Apparently, it's not you, Phil. There's a Phil Roberts in chat, and we're wondering if it's you.
That's my dad.
It's your dad.
Yeah.
Hey, hi, Dad.
What's he saying?
Don't want to know, Greg.
Something about I hope my favourite son wins.
That'll be you.
Yeah, based on those comments, there's
Well, for some
definitely a
reason, my
little
dad's
bit
got a
of
penchant
favouritism
for
there.
the demonic and the nastiness. So yeah. Right, that can fire in combat. It's not a blast weapon. So Josh, can you blast weapon shoot into a combat if there's a monster in the vehicle? No.
Ben,
So
what do
you-
you think
Okay, cool.
Phil's
Okay, fine.
best options are here? What does he just concentrate everything on Angron, or does he try and maybe pivot and start trying to grab a few more objectives? It's a tough one.
Angron kills that immolator in combat. If he's alive in the combat, Phil gets to activate first, it's dead. So I think he probably has to fall back and bring the rest of the army down to deal with Angron and hope. I mean, the odds are he doesn't come back. So if he deals with it, he's in a really strong position to push forward and pick up Greg's units.
It's a lot of ifs, buts, and maybes, isn't it?
It's-
Angron has that 6-up feel no pain. He's
It's an
also
issue.
got a
He-
baked in 4-up invulnerable save and a 2-up armor save. It's a lot to chew through.
Yeah, I mean, -1 doesn't sound like a lot, but you've only got 1 miracle dice per unit. You really want to see your melters missing. And if you stay in combat and don't go Angron, you 100% know Immolator's dead. So why not fall back, I guess, is my thinking. I know he loses the Immolator shooting. So it's really, I suppose, trying to do that quick maths. What's better? Immolator shoots at -1, the rest of the army shoots at -1.
The best.
Or you fall back and shoot normally. It's a tricky one to do in your head.
I think for most armies, I'd be thinking, get out of there, get rid of the -1s for the rest of your shooting and go for it. But because he could chuck miracle dice into those melter gun hits, getting more opportunities for melt. It looks like he's going for the falling back. So my
I think it makes
Right.
sense though, Nathan. You're right, because
Yes.
now he can if he rolls and misses the hits, he's at least he can use the miracle dice to confirm the damage rather than worrying about missing everything. So
Yeah,
I think
agreed.
it's the right decision here. And if he does fail to kill Angron, at least he makes Angron move, whereas Angron just kills the Immolator in combat for free. So
yeah,
you gotta move it. I think staying there would have been a mistake.
if Angron doesn't die here, I think then I feel like Greg's just going to bring that Jackal squad in to get behind the wall on the other side of it by objective 3. He can start tagging that thing up. The Berserkers can start rolling up that flank a little bit. There are 3 units of Berserkers in this army. Where's the third
There
one?
were.
One
There
unit's
were
down
3.
to.
Yeah.
Oh, there were 3. Oh no, I didn't notice the
Well,
other unit got deleted too.
One's in
No,
the bottom
there's-
building, one's in the centre building, and then there's a guy that's just one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I was wondering where the third one was hiding because I could see the middle one and I could see the half dead, well, the mostly dead squad at the top. I was just wondering where that sneaky third squad was knocking about.
I think, like I said at the start, we're perhaps seeing Greg's experience of playing his brother coming out here, because I think we would have expected turn 2 the Berserk squad on the first #1 objective to come flying in to that unit at the bottom, the middle Berserks to come flying out into the second No Man's Land objective, And perhaps that's what Phil expected.
Okay, Operation Kill Angron,
So
let's go.
Greg's changed it up a bit here. He's sent
I'm gonna do
Angron, and
straight
he's
through
tying up the
Southern
army. And the next turn, when Phil's finished in with Angron, the second wave hit. So it could actually be a very, very good play from Greg, this.
Yeah, I think it's yes, that mind games element. Phil's prepared for something he sees a lot of. Greg knows that, so yeah, this could be this could be some next level mind games.
But if you look now where Phil's positioned, what Greg's is that effectively 90% of Phil's army is now channeled into the middle of the board.
Yes.
And when you're playing World Eaters and you can just charge forward, get shot, blood surge, get into engagement, advance and charge, bounce between the units, he's almost forced Phil to bring everything into a condensed channel, and now he can send the entire army in
No,
and
that's
pick
the
it all up.
detachment. So
So
these aren't
it
big
could
devils,
be a pretty masterful play by Greg here. He's got Phil where he wants him at the moment.
We've lined up some
Phil
stuff.
doesn't want to be stretched in the middle of the board there with his entire army.
No, it's just we gotta. I think from Greg's perspective, he's got to hope that he can get enough models in to continue to apply that pressure for as long as possible.
These have just
An advance and charge next turn for him would be lovely. He's in a good position, he's staged well. It's just down to Angron. Does Angron, if Angron lives here, Phil's in real trouble.
Yeah, I'd like to potentially revise my score prediction.
I've lined up an Exorcist, and the Immolators move back, so it can't shoot this turn. Done a bit of screening to try and screen out. The Mortifiers moved up as well.
Let's just listen to Phil for a second.
Yeah, I'm gonna let him talk this out.
Do it. There we go. Let's do some shooting. You ready?
Okay, the shooting.
No,
but where it all comes together.
I'm going to start off with the Mortifier. And that's got 2 heavy bolters. I'm going to roll 6 dice.
Yeah, that looks like the Seraphim has turned up in the bottom corner. He does have engage on all fronts, so that will pick him up that minimum engage. And they're in a place where they're not in danger. And well, I don't know actually. Isn't there a Berserker squad next to Objective 1?
3s.
There is, yeah. Maybe you can get some shooting on there. But
and then this is the tricky bit though. So what's the toughness?
Yeah, interesting
11.
move.
So I'm going to be needing 6s.
Maybe getting the 2 points versus
1 goes through,
more
-1.
shots on Angron might come back to haunt him.
3 push.
They do get that reactive move after they shoot, so they could hit those Berserkers and then nip over the wall.
I'm going to shoot the...
They can, but that Brigand can move 12 inches. So if they jump the other side of the wall, the Brigand just chain cannons them to death.
Yeah, and if I was Greg, I would take that trade. I would not feel bad pulling the Brigand back for a turn to just shred the Seraphim.
So this is the Castigator shooting Angron in the face.
Okay, here goes the
bolters.
Oh dear.
That's quite nice.
That is quite nice.
Needs miracle
Well, it's going to be 6s to wound, so 1, 2, 3 sustained.
That's a 1 there.
Oh, that's a 1.
Oh my god, they have sustained.
They don't have those 2 in. So
6s
The
again.
dice cam shudders.
With the
Sorry.
6s.
Need 6s to wound out.
Oh, that's statistics exerting itself over the course of a larger sample size right there.
I love it when you say that to me.
Yeah, it's talking dirty to you, isn't it, when you say the statistics word?
8.
Mr. Maths.
Okay, so it's not the end of the wheel. He does have more guns.
Hello.
Holy shiza.
God
damn!
Those dice are hot. They're too hot. You might want to change those out.
They are definitely hot dice. They do look like Matt's dice. Those ones. I think Phil's borrowed them from Matt for this game.
Okay, so 2 go through.
Got 2 through on the castigated cannon.
What did he manage?
-1.
You can take him. You can take him.
So 3s.
Loves it. Loves it. Loves it.
Save me then.
Okay.
You're just making him angrier, Phil. You're just making him angrier.
That one grazed his bollock.
On 2.
Yeah.
Got you for the 1 there.
So I've just seen in chat, and I didn't know this. This is what I love about this game, is that apparently Phil actually bought Angron for Greg and painted it for him as a birthday present.
And according to Barry, he is constantly getting battered by it as well, so there's like a weird karmic justice there.
Not only did Phil persuade Greg to put Angron in the list, he also bought, painted and provided it for him, which could be his entire demise. So what a story that is.
So if something's AP 3, I'll go for AP.
That's what it's all about, folks. Warhammer, creating stories game by game.
Actually, that didn't even matter. This is what matters.
Well, no, the cannon,
Oh, okay, yeah, I think, Greg correctly identifying that the big scary guns are yet to go.
Crossbow.
An Inferno pistol.
I'm sure he was hoping to get a few of those castigator shots through.
Yeah, story of my life.
Every little helps, but...
I mean, Greg's surely used up his 5 and 6s
one-shot
there,
flamer.
but we'll see.
No, I'm not.
But he is playing sisters, so he could just miracle dice his way through this. If he saved them all for those melter shots and just sticks it on the damage.
She's hitting on 2s.
Oh, there it is.
Dice tell stories. There we go.
Whenever you roll a single dice hitting on a 2, it's always a 1. Them's the
Right,
rules.
thinking that Angron still hasn't taken any damage and has a 5-up field no pain, so all of a sudden,
You're 100% correct,
it's
yep.
already looking a little bit shaky for Phil.
Yeah, Angron doesn't have a baked-in field no pain. It's only a 6-up, but still, yeah, 2-up armor save, 4-up invulnerable save, 6-up field no pain. It's really going to start
Oh, hang on.
taking the sting.
Angron's T11, right?
Yeah.
Heavy bolters are strength 6 within 12.
Not in this faction, or not.
Oh,
Not in this detachment.
oh, he's not taking the...
That's Bringers of Flame.
He's taking the Hallowed Martyrs, not the angry fire one.
Sorry, that's from the chat.
No, it's a valid point.
Another Sisters player who doesn't understand that there are 5 other detachments in the codex. Which is fair enough,
Yeah,
I've never seen one.
No, that would be valid, yeah. Bringers of
Come on
Flame.
now, Lee, there are other options allowed.
In this case, we're playing Hallowed
The
Masters,
irony is,
so
Phil's
that
been
doesn't
saying for the
apply
last
to
few
us.
weeks that he
I
was
would love
running
it
that
to, maybe
flame
I should
attachment
have
and it
done.
wasn't working. He
Here
never
we
got the
are.
opportunity to be within 12, and the
Just,
moment
yeah,
it would have been
with
useful, he's changed attachment.
Where Angron sat within 12 of his entire army.
Here we go. Here comes the damage.
Oh, he's in melter range as well. This is going to stink.
That's not a melter though, is that thing?
No, that was just a heavy bolter. Okay, here's the big one.
It's-
That's -2 actually, because
Here we go.
Okay.
So that goes through. That was the...
it's a heavy bolter.
That's just a heavy bolt.
-1 went to -2.
Yes, that's right.
Talking about,
He has taken his first wound.
so he's got 14 left.
A moral victory.
Okay, here we go. Exorcist baby.
Exorcist.
Do some work for me.
Now, the Exorcist does have D6 damage weapons.
So I presume Phil... Oh, here we go, yeah. Will the Exorcist do the damage?
It's strength 10, so it is still wounding on 5s, but he does have, like...
He got the 7 shots.
Okay, hitting on those 3s, because it is direct at this
This
point.
is a direct shot, yeah.
Rotate on 3s, yes.
Oh my god, this boy can hit, but he can't
Wow.
wound. Let's see what happens.
Okay.
Right, so we're
Well,
looking at
these are the
5s here. This is where it's going to be tough. But if they get through AP3, D6 damage, it could be a lot. Oh, I'm seeing some 6s!
3.
Oh dear!
3.
That's the miracle dice, I presume.
I don't know.
He did,
Oh,
he held
yeah.
one back.
Roll the damage.
Oh, but I don't know. Do you go for flats? Do you guarantee flat 6 damage on the one that goes through here, though?
Yeah, in my opinion.
Well, I suppose the problem is if he rolls 4-4-ups...
He didn't. He didn't do any of it.
Shit.
3 going through, so it's a minimum of 3 damage on Angry Ron at this point.
Could be enough.
Holy
it's a lot.
shit. That's 14 wounds.
That's
He
dead,
is
right?
dead.
He's
No,
got
he's
a
not.
feel no
As in
pain.
Feel no pains.
So is it best to roll?
He needs to make 1 feel no pain.
This-
1-6.
Oh no!
This just got spicy.
Oh, Angron has 16 wounds actually. Even if all of these go through, he's alive on 1.
Oh, you
he
get-
took
you-
1
No,
wound before.
So I've
He
got
did
it.
take both
Got
from
a
the heavy
save
bolter
three.
because it's a
Oh, he took
6-up
2.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is. He needs to make 1.
Also, in fairness, Phil does still have a fair bit of shooting on the board.
But at this point, Ben, do you not want you want him to spend all of it, right? You don't want him to have options left over.
Yeah, I think it's not. If Greg makes him feel no pains, it's not the end of the world. Is what I mean. He's made 4.
Holy shit. Oh yeah, it's
We'll
only a
take it.
6 plus feel no pain, not 5 plus.
He's only
Yeah,
6.
he doesn't have 1 baked in, unfortunately.
Okay, 4 wounds now might be quite a challenge for that sister squad.
Down to
He's
4
going to
left.
have to go to charges, I think.
Oh, are you thinking maybe like a tank shock to try and get some mortal wounds through here?
It's got no CP.
He's got the. what's the little chappy called next to Angron? Is an inch away. He's
Canoness?
got the sisters. He's got the Canoness. He's
And
got some
she-
options.
The
I think
Canoness as
you-
well, actually, is quite scary. I think he's given her the enhancement, I think it's called Through Suffering Strength, which I believe gives her extra strength and extra attack. Yeah, she gets +1 attack and strength and damage characteristic to her melee weapon. So,
Yeah, I don't think there's any. I mean, I think Phil would have liked to have picked him off and shoot him, but I don't think there's any danger here that Angron lives once he gets the charges off.
no, those Exorcist cannons did absolute bits there.
When they hit, bloody hell. There's not.
Does Greg have enough CP to interrupt?
I don't think Greg's got any CP right now.
Canoness. 2.
Oh, she tried to fail that. I assume she's yeah, she was within 2.
I can see. It looks like Greg's got 1 CP. I can see. Oh,
Yes,
the
that's
big
right.
yellow dice is there.
No,
So-
Phil's sisters. He's got 1.
Phil.
He's got 1
So I
CP.
think Nathan, you made a good point there. I think if I was Phil, maybe you just charge the castigator in tank shock.
Yeah,
There
you
we
go for it. Spend that CP. You need 4. Isn't it capped at 4?
No, it's not capped.
Capped at 6.
Capped at 6,
6
that's
damage.
it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so I don't know why, but I thought you only ever roll 6, but that's grenades. Never mind.
Yeah, grenades is
Yeah.
only 6, no caps, and then tank shock
You'll get-
is
it's
toughness
T11.
related.
There we go.
Castigator, so he will get 11 dice.
Yeah, he won't be getting the extra 2 for beating the toughness though, but still 11 dice. It's doable.
That also doesn't exist anymore. It's just all you
Is
get
it?
is a dice for each pip of toughness. That is it now.
Oh, I didn't
Oh
know.
right,
that.
you can tell I don't drive tanks at people very
Yeah,
often.
they murdered the hell out of it.
Yeah, it's still decent.
The issue is that when you're charging with, say, a lancer, which specialised in tank shock, and he gets 12
Oh, you only
dice,
did. How many did you do, Phil?
Just the 1.
Just
Not a
1.
lot.
Canoness
Oh my
has got some work to do here.
Got the
She's
feel
gonna
no
have to
pain?
do it.
Yes.
Feel no pain on that one.
Oh, he saved it.
Always
Oh my
made it.
god! Ladies and
I mean,
gentlemen, we
if-
may have a game here.
Okay.
I mean, if Angron survives and then just picks up the castigator.
That is going to be absolute scenes.
But what I would say in Greg's defence, I think anyone in that position does that.
Yeah, it's the
Angron
right
gets to
call.
die. It's the
100%.
right call.
And I think actually
Can't.
we forgot to shoot the Seraphim, so we're going back to the Seraphim, I think.
Yeah, should we'll
That's
resolve
fair.
the combat and
The
that's gonna
berserks.
be- you'll get to do that after that, yeah. Do the castigators attacks.
Again, we're playing WCC rules here.
Play by
well,
intent,
friendly.
right?
Well, it's play by intent, but also club rules kind of like, you know, you want to be playing to the best of your opponent's ability. If they've forgotten to shoot things, it doesn't change the state
Yeah, I
of
think
play. 'cause
Phil
this is
would have
completely
declared to
different
bring him
part.
in there to score and shoot, so
Yeah.
I think it's a fair one.
Yeah.
It'd be disingenuous to argue that he dropped him in there with no intention to fire, right?
Yeah, and I think Angron in your face is going to tilt you no matter what. So
Yeah, you're going to focus in.
why won't you die?
You should have died by now, shouldn't you?
Possibly.
Yeah. Like Greg made a great play, like using that stratagem to get that extra blood blessings roll to get that feel no pain has what's kept him in it at this point. Angron should be dead.
Okay, 2 go through. The dream is alive. No 6s.
Need some 4-ups here.
10.
Still got a CP for that reroll.
He does.
Oh, he's got a 6 and a 1 on the wound roll.
One goes through.
Okay.
Just the 1.
And it's in bunch of 4s.
Yeah.
4 here.
No.
God, I'd be using the reroll if I was Greg.
2 damage.
2 damage. 2 feel pains.
It's only 2 damage.
Oh, it's
He's
only
at-
2.
No. It's still 2.
yeah,
He's down to 2. He's down to 2
Went
Down
wounds.
to 2.
whenever you spend the CP to re-roll a save, it
That's
almost
the
never
Canoness.
comes off. Oh, okay, this is where the Canoness is not under half strength, which she's not under starting strength, which means she doesn't get +2 strength and +2 damage and +2 attacks. She will only get +1 of each, and it's a tall
Yeah,
order.
which generally is fantastic, but she's now fighting a T11 Angron.
So she adds 1 to the attack.
She might be turned into a saint if she does this, though.
This is going to be a...
She gets a paint job, like if she's she gets upgraded to a Celestine model after this. Right, she's hitting.
And she's got a strength
Big roll,
of
this.
4.
What is it, like 5s or 6s?
She needs 6s.
Huge moment in the
He's
game.
burnt all his miracle dice.
Extra
Oh.
strength will only need 5s, I believe, because she gets the extra pip of strength up to go up to 7.
She's strength 7, you say?
1.
But it doesn't
One
matter. if
One
it's not
goes
5.
through.
It's 2
Okay.
damage though, isn't it?
-1.
Okay, so please.
Go on, Matt.
Oh,
CP reroll it!
How much-
CP reroll it for the love of God!
have you got any CP left? No? He's out of CP.
Oh no!
There's cries from the crowd to re-roll that.
Oh,
Oh my god!
Oh my word!
Fucking boxcars.
oh my God!
Unbelievable.
You've only pissed him off, Phil. You've only
Oh,
pissed him
wow.
off.
Look at this. Two brothers.
Wow.
Two very different reactions.
We've got a game here. This is class.
That is incredible. I mean, that is game changing.
This is why we play. You can run the maths all you want. You can quote statistics. You can get your spreadsheets out. But sometimes you just get boxcars and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ever want to show somebody how you can't rely on maths, just watch this last 5 minutes.
Oh,
About
yeah.
a tank shock that does 1 wound, Angron popping 7 or 8 feel no pains in a phase.
This happens
Yeah.
too much in Warhammer. Though. You know what I mean?
Incredible.
It happens all the
Incredible.
fucking time. And that's the thing about this game.
If I wanted predictable outcomes in everything I did, I wouldn't play Warhammer. Do you know what I mean? Like, if everything had guaranteed end states, it just wouldn't be as fun.
You'd go and play something like Age of Sigmar, wouldn't you, Nathan? You know, you want a
Easy
much
now,
more
Ben.
basic
Back
one.
in your box. There's no need for that. Come on now.
I've never heard of that game.
Oh, it's alright.
So,
you're still stuck in like 2010 when the version you played got retired, right? Something like that.
So it looks like I think Phil is contemplating his whole Warhammer career here.
Yeah, he's looking at the table thinking,
Because
so
I
just
think
scoop it up.
it's just dawned on him that Angron probably picks up his choice. I mean, if I
So
was
Angron's
Greg, I'd
splitting his
split.
attack, sorry. Yeah.
I was going to say I'd split attacks. here, take
Yeah,
the
let's go.
feminine-
Go greedy, man. Just get greedy with it.
So sorry, guys. What's going on? Greg?
Splitting my
Everyone's getting very excited. Sorry, Greg, and it's just drowning us out. It's drowning you out.
So, splitting the attacks, I'm going to go 4 on the penitent engine,
Yeah.
4 on the tank.
There's a penitent engine there as well. Bloody hell.
Well, mortifier, whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, pick up
Okay, so
Cannon S, Pennant Engine,
Mortifier.
kill it, castigate the next turn.
4 hits.
This is into the castigator.
This
Oh.
is into the mortifier.
Oh, into the multiplier. Okay.
And then
Fire, yeah.
strength
Okay. Okay.
is
Good play by Greg.
Toughness is...
I think it will give him the objective as well.
Yeah, it will.
2s to wound. Luckily.
4.
Minus.
So -4.
Minus gazillion.
Okay, so just a
Yeah,
6 up on that.
it's. I'm like, I think it's -4, isn't it? When Angron's it's just slapping him flat. Yeah, it's D6 plus 2.
What?
So 11,
Yeah.
13, 14. plus
Lots of feel no pains here.
Yeah.
I mean, can we go absolutely silly and Phil rolls like 13 sixes here?
I want to...
Oh, mate, there's not enough miracle dice in the world to fix that. That is.
Does it blow up?
Oh, does it blow up? Does it
Blow
blow
up.
up? Does it blow
And
up?
kill Angron, how spectacular would that be?
Oh! There was an opportunity for just perfect drama there.
That would have made this the game of the ages. This would have
Dice,
been.
silver lining, all that.
5.
It's miracle dice. This is in.
Ooh, he's missed one.
Where's this going into? The castigator.
Oh, it ain't gonna go well.
Oh, I don't think it kills it.
What's your toughness?
No, maybe the Cannon S was the better decision here because then I think he out OCs the Castigator.
Please.
I think he still might. Angron is OC 6.
Uh-oh.
Is 6.
2 moves,
Oh, so maybe only a combined 4 or 5 there. You're right. So pick up the Castigator. Yeah.
6 up again.
I mean, if I was Greg, like,
Dice.
at this point, Angron's not supposed to be there. Split your attacks, try and kill everything. Just have fun with it.
Yeah. So
Nope. Roll damage, sir.
Yeah, they both
does
go through.
Angron not reroll? Oh, Mike's just mentioned it as well. Angron reroll 1s.
5,
I
9.
think he went for the Angron aura of +1 to charge, not
That's correct.
reroll
Oh
ones.
yes, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, so good pick up there, Mike. But yeah, he did need to use that extra inch to get into combat.
Right.
So that's the top of the turn.
Oh,
Have we run out of toys to hit each other with?
It would appear so, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
So Phil.
Well,
Oh, I'm just going to resolve the shoot.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you didn't resolve the shooting yet. Okay. Okay, so we're going back to the Seraphim.
yeah, that wouldn't have had any impact on the situation, but
For these,
to
well, these four flamer shots.
it'll make Phil feel a bit better. I think it's a kindness here from Greg.
well, I
Let
don't know.
your
'Cause
brother get
Phil's
some kills.
Phil's Seraphim, are they hand flamers or are they bolt
Just couple
pistols?
on it.
They'll be the flamers. Yeah, they're the
Yeah.
flamers.
Okay, yeah, he might just through sheer weight of dice just nuke this Corn Berserker unit.
Well, yeah, I expect he can turn them to dev wounds as well.
Is that the fire-based detachment, or is that this one though? He's
Good
Hallowed
point.
Martyrs.
Switch.
I'll
isn't
have a
it?
little look. I think.
Oh, there's the sixes.
Oh, that.
Holy shit.
Not
I
bitter
mean,
there.
I do. At this point, I think we have to think about revising scores because that you can't be put into words how big that is. Angron surviving.
And picking up more stuff. Ben, yeah, you are right, mate. The dev wounds strat does exist, but it is only in the Bringers of the Flame detachment.
Right.
Yeah, so that's not
Only
good.
2 dead. That's
2 are dead.
fine. That unit doesn't battle shock. That means it holds the objective.
Still got some bolt pistols.
Oh well, yeah.
Again, at end of this shooting as well, Greg can blood surge. So
Further onto the objective, do you think? Over the other side of the wall, just to get clear. Oh my
Oh,
god,
I-
the sixes are coming thick and
God, this
fast.
boy, I told you, this boy can
I mean,
hit.
that Seraphim aren't going to do much.
No,
now,
the lack
so
of AP is gonna.
look,
Oh, it
that's,
does pick up another one.
There
He
you
picks
go.
up another one. That will be enough to trigger a battle shock, which means there's no guarantee that Greg holds.
I can blood surge after the flamers.
No, it happens simultaneously.
After they-
All shooting from the unit all happens at exactly the same time in terms of activating abilities.
But that doesn't make
Yeah, it's
sense,
after
though,
the
for
unit finishes shooting.
If each time you get shot.
From a unit, yeah?
Oh.
Yeah. It's, yeah.
It's not per gun or weapon profile.
I mean, otherwise, if it was per gun profile, it'd be like,
Yeah, that's what it is.
oh, we're just going to, oh, you shot me with,
you sunk my battleship.
Yeah, the wording is each time a enemy unit is selected to shoot after that unit has finished making its attacks. So once it's done everything, he can then blood surge if a model is destroyed, obviously.
I'm gonna blood surge this way.
do you have to blood surge towards the unit that shot you? I think you might have to. It'd be a bit,
It's
It-
actually it's as close as possible to the closest enemy unit.
Yeah,
so
you
It doesn't have
I
to be
think
the target.
Closest
Yeah.
enemy unit.
doesn't have to be the target, just it has to be the closest enemy unit.
right, it
I
has to
think
be,
Greg just blocked that.
just so you know, it's the closest enemy unit.
Yeah.
But the sequencing, he gets to move after he shoots, and you get to blood surge after he shoots. Because it's Phil's turn, he gets to choose the sequence.
Yeah. Which
Can
I
you
actually
elect
think
not
means-
to blood surge?
He can elect not
You
to blood
can.
surge.
But it's his turn next, and he's probably going to have to go the other way through the wall now if he wants to move.
And can I ask, actually, does it say closest? Does the whole unit have to move closer to the closest enemy model?
So this unit must finish.
It says this unit
Hang on,
must
he's reading.
finish as close as
Hang on.
possible to the closest enemy.
Yes.
This
that is
unit. So
correct.
actually, you could move one model closest to the closest enemy unit, and the rest can move where the fuck they like.
The unit just has to end closer.
Yeah.
That's got some play.
Yeah, Khorne's one of those really interesting armies. It's one that I kind of initially dismissed. I'm a Night Lord purist, unfortunately, but there's an element of it where you can pick up the basics really easily, but the nuances of things like Blood Surge and the way you can abuse that is what really helps push those really good World Eaters players over the top.
I think
Yeah.
WTC really helps as well. You know, the maps usually quite dense. There's a lot of staging points.
Yeah.
I think they've always had play in WTC.
I think you hit the nail on the head, Nathan. That they're seen by many as just a mundane combat army that you charge up the field and kill stuff, and if you get shot and die, you lose. But the amount of play we've already seen in this game, three or four times when use of a blood surge and taking the right models off would have put Greg in quite a strong position. So when they're played at a really high level, I experienced this myself in Cardiff and Firestorm a couple of weekends ago, where I completely underestimated the ability of the army and lost my entire army by turn 3.
So we've got only engage for little engage for 2 points there, and of course we've got defend strongholds, which is actually not guaranteed. So let's go.
Yeah, not anymore.
So the scores are up to date, and we're going to go into Greg's turn 3.
Phil not picking up masses of secondary there, with Greg being sat on multiple objectives. He's just going to extend that lead now. The pressure's really on for Phil to try and redress this balance.
So
In answer to Barry's question, the leadership check wouldn't take place until the command phase of Greg, so he can blood surge.
of course. So we're drawing secondaries.
Command points, secondaries, establish locus,
We've got locus
and storm hostile objective.
and storm hostile objective.
Right. I need to
Baby.
read these because I'm not sure.
Let me know where Angron's going.
Your shooting
Yep.
phase.
God, that's-
Then again,
Saying that, he is in
Angron
combat.
can't fall back. He can't fall back and
One
charge,
unit
can he?
from
But then
your
again,
army.
I know this is going to sound like I'm almost certain that Greg didn't plan on getting Storm hostile on turn 3, but he didn't push onto objective 2 in the top there. And it is technically
He's
held
established
by
locus,
Phil,
get
so
within
he
the
walks
centre.
onto it
Yeah,
with that
so
lone berserker.
It's
and
within
frigate.
6, isn't it, of the centre?
That's a
So I'm
free.
probably in that
That's a
anyway,
free
already.
secondary
So
there.
you do that with more than one.
Is, yeah.
No, it's either in the
Greg,
middle or
clearly a
in
master of this
yeah,
game.
the deployment.
You can just do it with
Position
one.
that
Leaving in the heart of the cards.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So the jackals
Position
can do
that
that there.
berserker and just go
Stay
score
within
when he
6 of the
wants.
centre.
He's
Yep.
beginning to believe.
And then storm hostile objective is
Kill a
yeah.
No, you just have to. You just have to take an objective off
Yeah.
someone.
So, Josh, just to remind me, it was Storm
So the only
and the
objective
second
you
one
have
was...
is
Hang on, I'll write it in the chat actually.
over there.
Phil's still got defend, but
He does.
Greg's World Eater turn 3 secondaries are Storm and Locus.
Locus, yeah.
Because, I mean, that unit of Jackals is perfectly placed to do a
Right,
whole lot of
so-
nothing but score 3. Is it? No, it's 2 points now,
Yeah.
isn't it, in Pariah Nexus?
Gonna give me Angron base.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to be really quirky, in theory, Angron can, if Angron looks like he's within, Angron can actually deploy the Homer. And when he gets attacked, he can still attack back.
Sure.
So we got a 4 4s and 2 5s for the corn roll.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he doesn't have access to any of those really powerful triples, but the extra movement is available. Sustained hits, total carnage is an option, but that's fight on death. I don't think that's particularly useful here. I think it's just going to have to be that 2-inch move, and
Well, he has 4
Jackal
fours,
rerolls?
He can just
Oh,
shoot
4
3 of
fours.
those for a triple.
oh yes,
yeah.
of course. Sorry, my mistake. He also has Jackals on objectives to reroll any that he wants to get rid of.
Yeah,
Advance
he
and
can-
charge is on the cards again. Take
He can
it.
re-roll one of those.
You take advance and charge all day here, right? Get those corn berserkers from the middle straight up onto objective 2. Overwhelm it. That's what he's thinking. It's like he can hear my thoughts.
So did you score your primary?
I haven't done it yet.
No.
No.
Let's get that done. So what? How many primary are you sitting on?
1, 2.
So 2, and then how many of them are secured at the end of last turn?
I think I've got this one as well in terms of OC.
Have you?
I've got OC
Got
6.
3 plus.
He's only got a cannoness and a tank, which I don't think is 6. But
That'd be maximum
not.
5.
yeah,
I would say.
so I've got 3 then.
So he
So-
holds 12.
Jackals were also
Yeah.
defended, so so he scored that then.
And
Phil
it's
14
defending
primary?
14. Yeah. No, it would be 4 4 4,
Mm-hmm.
and then 2 lots of
guard.
2. So it's actually.
Were
actually
the
16.
because the berserks on
Yeah.
the bottom were defending as well. So that's
Oh,
16.
wow. Okay.
Big primary score. Phil's in a lot of trouble now.
Yeah, I'd say so. His army's... Like I was going to say it's split. It's not. The Seraphim aren't really a threat to any of the larger units. They can pick up some Jackals, which is great. But I think Greg is just going to go and clean them up now, so he doesn't have to deal with it.
He should comfortably pick up at least half the squad without much trouble with
so
that
I'm
chain
gonna
It's
cannon.
got that chain cannon.
Advancing
Yeah, I'm looking
Yeah.
at. I'm looking at what Phil's got
And,
left. He's been pushed back
sustain.
into a little bubble
Sustain.
around his home field objective, and he
Okay.
has some play up on that top. I think if he pushes the
advancing
berserkers from the
charge.
middle objective, with advance and charge on the cards, straight up into that pile,
So I'm
he can
going
clean
to
that objective up, and Angron and the rest of his army can
establish
push
locus with
onwards
the
from
middle.
objective 1 and
With
just
the
start
jackals.
rolling him up.
And then these can move 6.
It's going to be interesting to see whether Greg goes for the throat here. I think we've seen quite a few of the games recently. There's been these quite pivotal moments where there's almost like if you want to go and score a 17, 18, 19, 20,
Yeah,
this is your go turn.
I think Greg's recognised it. He's moving those berserkers up to take that last objective.
Yeah.
I
Because
think you're right there.
If he just sits, he maybe get at
and then
current board state, if you think he maybe 14, 15 points, but he could
can't
really
fight
put
through
his
this and we'll have to go
put
around
his
it.
foot on Phil's neck here
I
and
don't know if you're an inch away.
storm forward,
It's 2
charge
inches
through
away.
the
See,
walls,
that's
pick up the
There's
units.
an inch away.
Phil's going to struggle to
Is
even
it
get
correct,
out and
Josh,
score
under
now.
WTC
Yeah.
rules.
That was my
You've
first
gotta
mistake when I
be
played against World Eaters.
2 inches
Mike,
away
I
to
think,
go
was my
face
first
the
game
wall,
of
or is it
10th edition, and I made the mistake of sitting too deep
So I
into
got
my
a question from the
deployment
players
zone.
here.
So
What-
under WTC rules, it's 2 inches away from the wall.
For what?
So he wants to charge me through the wall, essentially.
It's
but
no. It's now the WTC FAQ.
Yeah.
And well, I should say clarification for combaters. If he can make it into engagement, he's in.
Right, okay.
So basically, that is to say, you measure how much the actual distance is,
Yeah.
which you can take the wall off. That's the beauty of the footprint.
Okay. So
And then you can measure it.
Five new
now-
miles back. It's effectively the
Yeah.
2-inch
So I
barricade
can-
rule, so engagement
I
becomes
can
2 inch
advance
for a
and then
wall.
charge, yeah.
Yeah.
Anything bigger than that, you can fit
So
your
I will
base anyway.
advance.
Yeah.
6.
Oh,
That's,
Good one
that's
there.
stinking. Yeah, I think just
One
going back
infantry.
to my previous point about, I think Phil's deployed the bulk of his army too deep in his deployment zone and just kind of allowed the World Eaters to take the rest of the board. And that's a mistake that people make against these aggressive melee armies. They assume they need to stay back,
Well,
and then
I will be
all of this
leaving
is
all
delayed.
of these strategic conversations to you two from now on. I have just opened the hot nice bottle of red wine to accompany the 2 beers I've already had. So please
you
let
can
me
bring
know.
the sass and we'll bring the analysis.
Thank you.
There is nothing. The hot dice Lambrini, beautiful, beautiful wine that.
I'm sat here with a,
Fresh from the vineyards of Grays in Essex. Beautifully produced.
We are not
We're having-
sponsored.
no, we're having very different evenings, you and I, Josh. I'm sat here with a cup
I'll
of
see what
black
people are
coffee
saying on
and
the
you're just there pounding red wine.
It's my natural state of being.
Establish locus more than once or just once?
Just centre. Or you can
So
establish
Greg
it in
has
any
taken up the
deployment.
mantle here. I'm expecting to see those berserkers on bottom objective potentially move, or maybe he just wants to sit for the primary. I mean, he can. I don't know if he's realised.
He's got that CP where he can sticky that objective with those circuits and
Well-
move off, right?
Right.
Middle objective is actually already sticky because
Because the Jackals naturally do it.
Jackals was on it for a command phase. So with where Phil is, he can afford to leave that middle objective and push because it's his anyway. Phil's got nothing that can get to that next turn.
So if you fall back,
Seraphim, if they don't
Even
get picked up,
I don't think they're going to make it to the middle objective by the time Greg's finished with them. And he can use that Zerka unit sorry, the Jackal unit, even just to screen across the board. Even if Phil does try to get out, he can block that middle lane. So this Greg.
if Greg watches this game back at some point, I'd like to apologise for my earlier predicted score. This has gone very differently to the way I thought it would.
The swing of a die. If Angron had died, this whole game state's flipped. Greg is out like this now. Phil steps forward, picks up 2 more units. Big scores the last few turns.
Is that a is he shooting the chain cannon there? Or?
I imagine it's the 12 shots on the chain cannon, yeah.
Chain cannon, I believe, is AP1, and battle sisters are quite squishy once you start getting some AP
So
on that.
they get, if it's the closest unit, the Brigand Special Rolls, he gets an extra pip of AP. So is actually going to be AP2 with no cover because he can see all of the models.
So
But they are
so
they
they're
are in
front.
cover. They are in cover. It's hard
Oh,
to
they are
tell
in
from
cover.
the chat there, but
What's the minus?
what we'll do is I think we've got the blue screens there for the large L's. We'll probably add a pink hue to the small L so they match the actual maps on WCC.
They're just on the template, are they?
Yeah,
A
I know
couple of
it
them.
doesn't look like it, but I think
Oh, go on then.
terrain has been knocked slightly.
Yeah, hit.
I think those Seraphim are in a bit of a bad spot. If you can get any AP on sisters, because they're ultimately they're a toughness 3 body,
Minus 2, isn't it? So 3 minus 2 is 5. But then
and
cover
that's
and
wounding on 2s, right?
Yeah, I think Phil's got about 14 saves to make it.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, I think Phil just made the same sound I did. He knows where he is right now.
They are gone.
Maybe one.
Go, it's not enough. They're only 1 wound apiece as well.
That was my bad play. I should have put them on
Yeah.
build. and I didn't.
Oh, they're picked up.
I think,
That
and
was a misplay
I
on
mentioned
my
this in the
behalf.
turn, that the 2 points they scored for him might have seemed appealing at the time. In hindsight, he brings that squad in 9 inches from Angron, and that shooting makes a difference. He puts those death wounds onto Angron.
Okay.
Maybe Angron's dead, and I can speak from personal experience here. When I played Josh in the first round of the league, I committed a unit similarly to go and score a couple of points, thinking I'd survive, and lost them. And it
Yeah.
ended up actually costing me quite a significant amount of points. And I think Phil's fallen into the same trap there. It feels like I'll get the 2 points, I'll get them on the board. If that'd been the difference in Angron dying, maybe it's worth 30 points.
Yeah,
So-
it's that quantifiable outcome versus the possibility of what they could provide,
Absolutely.
and Phil went for that. And the other thing that I think you and Matt touched on during your commentary during the last stream, at 1,000 points, every unit has to do so much more because it's such a considerably higher percentage of your list.
So Greg then went to do the charge with his book. Gone berserk. I don't know if you noticed that, but it was Snake Eyes for the charge.
Is it enough?
It wasn't.
It
So
might
he
still be
had,
enough.
He had,
Oh.
he had to CPU
They
reroll
should.
it. Was it enough to get in?
Yeah.
I mean,
With the
with
Snake
an
Eyes?
inch for engagement
No,
range, he would have.
With the second one. But
Okay,
Yeah.
apparently not.
Another reroll.
Apparently not.
Yeah, I think we've got to concede here, Ben, that we're eyeballing this from a top-down camera.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's probably
I just,
a 3 or a 4.
I know Phil had said they'd put them 2 inches behind the wall for a charge. It looked like he was within an inch of terrain. So in theory, if you're playing by intent, it should have reached. But as you said, we can't.
let's
We
do that one
can't
then,
see
Phil.
the exact measurements
Yep.
from here.
So that unit of berserkers just deletes whatever they've ran into there.
Yeah, I'm intrigued if they can get a consolidation into that other unit as well. Is it within 3? That's big. If he can then jump into them.
I think eyeballing it. Which is
Yeah,
obviously-
eyeballing it from the top down, I'm not sure, man.
I say yes to get within an inch.
I mean, he's at least halfway over the terrain piece, and the terrain piece is 6 inches, so it's only at least. It looks to me like he can get into engagement range with that unit, unfortunately.
I do love that at some point every Warhammer game turns into Geometry Corner, and you're trying to work out just angles and distances.
Yeah, yeah. Lesson when you're playing World Eaters: don't have your units within 3 inches of each other. Give yourself a lot of coverage because while they won't obviously kill them this phase, it's another unit Phil loses access to.
Yeah.
3. So choose.
I mean, I don't imagine they should pick them up quite easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd think
Just
so.
letting the players just go through the motions on this one. I think it's okay. He's already got to 12. It's a lot.
So remind me, they don't really have a save, but they have quite a tasty feel no pain. But there's only 3 of them, right, Phil?
Yeah,
Only 3 of them, yeah. 4 up, Phil, no
vulnerable
pain, 2
save,
wounds
as everything
each.
does. So I'm going to try and do some.
It's possible they could
Praise
survive.
the
I
Emperor,
think,
yeah.
They have got an invuln apparently.
Yeah, 6.
Do
all
they?
systems
Like
are-
Arcoflagellant's a unit I haven't really seen a lot of. I remember the
Oh.
Crusaders used to be that cheap
Okay, so
objective holding
2,
unit.
Only 6s though.
6,
Worth saying.
10, 12. They 1 damage
Oh.
each.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
we can all dream, can't we?
So
Yeah.
yeah, I can roll them actually 2 at a time, isn't it? They've got 2 wounds
see them
each.
surviving
Oh, are
here.
they 2 damage each?
No,
One
one
damage.
Okay.
What's your feeling up?
They fight. I feel like they'd fight on death, right? It seems
So
like something
first
they do.
one.
No, they don't do that.
Dead.
They don't. I think that's a
Wow.
strat.
First one's dead.
I think you just roll them together, Phil.
What?
I don't think you can substitute a miracle dice anyway.
No.
Not
It's
for
a
a feel no
save.
pain.
It's not
No.
a save, so
Okay.
it's a damage mitigation rather than a save.
Yeah, they're
So,
gone. Oh no, 4 ups. One's on 1.
There's 4 wounds. So
Yeah.
the other
No,
2 are
dead by-
Anyway, so there you go.
2
Ooh.
wounds each. Just.
Yeah, just.
Okay.
Now, will Greg know to consolidate in? That's the
And
big
then-
question.
Yeah, I'm just looking in terms
got
of
Angron?
resource management
Yeah.
now for the sisters. How many units
So
does
he's
Phil
got
have
2
access
left.
to that
You
can
used
score
it
him
to
points?
From the last goal, didn't you?
He's got
That's one
the
thing.
what,
So-
half a Dominion squad up top.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll split then.
tanks maybe at the end of this turn, and
So,
a little unit around his home.
I'll
So,
do...
just I want to just focus on this fight phase for a second, because I think this is, again, we talk about raising the skill level and making people think about these critical
4 on each.
decisions. A couple of big
So
things
4 on
here.
the tank first.
If Greg doesn't consolidate into that
Oh,
sisters unit,
I have to check.
he's
in the order
missed an
this goal, sorry.
opportunity to
I'll re-roll
completely
it.
nullify Phil's unit.
I have to resume the order.
And Phil can then step
Didn't see
forward,
that at the
shoot,
start of the
charge,
command phase. I did.
grenade them, potentially pick them up. The other thing here is that decision to attack the
It isn't.
Castigator
No,
with
okay.
Angron rather
Starting
than
your
the
charge
Canoness
phase.
and
Okay.
So it would be this phase
engine
anyway, even if it's in charge.
now means that
Um,
Phil gets to pick the Canoness to fight first into
so I'll do
Angron,
re-roll hits.
Okay.
whereas it
goal,
would have been a
that's okay.
Castigator fighting Angron
So
instead,
don't
which
forget
is
he
more likely
benefits
to
from
survive.
sustained as
So
well.
there's a couple of big
Okay.
things in
He's
this
aware
fight
of the fact.
phase that played
So
differently
choose.
probably put the
Re-rolling.
final nail in the coffin for Phil, and it turns into a
And
big
one
score.
sustained as well.
Yeah.
Really good point.
No, I flawless logic there.
And then strength is...
It looks like he has missed out on the
16,
consolidation.
toughness is...
It's something.
Damage, isn't it?
Consolidation and piling
combat
I
is
think is
this?
what really
This is Angron.
Against the
it's down
Castigator.
to Angron and
Phil gets hit
Canoness
first.
now.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
because
yeah.
forward, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
But this
Go on
is
then.
all
This is
going
where I
into the
think-
Castigator.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll
Save those dice.
So there was 5.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the
Canoness.
Canoness
Bear with me.
should pick him up.
So I
here.
had to interject there because obviously I
Yeah,
want
no,
it
it's
to be
fair. Yeah. Do you know what?
a legal game.
Yeah, it's a
No, I didn't
big
either.
moment, but yeah, that's them roll those dice. I think that's
She's
what
got no wounds off,
piling
has
and
she?
consolidate.
No.
There's so much you can do with those moves that are the difference between top players and the mere mortals like us
So
who are
she's
playing
got
this
5
game
attacks.
predominantly for fun.
For Worldy, the player who can abuse their blood
hitting
surges
on
and their
touch.
consolidations and their pilings in a way that
Then she needs to
really
win on
maximizes
50
every
and
inch of
4
movement
successes.
and every bit of melee that they can. That just makes it such a difficult army to walk into.
No,
I
no,
believe
we're
this is the
not one.
Canoness, and that does not look like
Okay.
she's picked anything
So
up
then
there.
is
She
it
still
me?
needed those 6s to wound.
happy
That
if you
power
can?
sword,
Yeah.
that power sword
Okay.
strength
And
7,
then the wound
I think,
is 3s.
with the buff. It might not be
It's on the
enough,
castigator, isn't it?
Yeah. So 3 wounds, right?
3 wounds into Castigator.
but
Yeah,
each of
minus
these is like
million?
D6 plus
Minus
2.
D6 plus 2, yeah.
So it's
AP
6
4, I
again.
think it just happened. Oh no, Castigators have an invuln, don't
2
they?
go
He's
through.
made 1.
He's got 2 wounds, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's got feeling no pain.
So he can,
Is this Castigator on full health?
No, it's got
It's
2
not. It's got 2 wounds left, so
No.
it's also dead.
Oh, it's gone.
Does
it's
it,
already
Does
dead.
it blow up?
does it blow up? Here we
Does it
go.
blow up?
There we
and
go.
leave
Please blow up.
Canoness?
Oh,
No.
Oh, I just wanted the Angron to die
And
with
then
it.
With the 4 into the Canoness. Getting on 2s, re-rolling.
Oh, he
Oh,
split
he did
attacks.
split attacks as well.
Oh, heathen!
Well played, Greg. Well played.
Oh, it makes me ill, but it's so good. Every time I split attacks, I fail to kill both targets, but he's just going for it. Oh, she's gone. Does she have an invulnerable save?
so
She's got to, right?
4 up. Oh.
Oh,
good
no, she don't.
damage. That's probably gonna kill her.
5.
5 damage flat, she's gone.
Yeah, that's gonna kill her, isn't it?
Is the Canoness not the crazy bitch who gets the 2+ invuln, or is she the one
she
who
used
can
it
go?
last go.
You have to.
Used
I
it last
think
goal.
that's.
Used it last go. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Did I need to though?
Oh man.
You didn't.
Apparently.
He rolled a 1 anyway, so he
You rolled
Yeah,
a
it
1
wouldn't have made a
anyway.
difference.
he was still dead.
You did roll a 1 anyway, Phil.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
It look, I feel like the Canoness picked the wrong god to go for on this particular
doing
matchup.
redder. For CP
Emperor has not kept her in it.
At the end of the go. That all you?
So Phil,
That's me.
that's you done. Phil does score his secondary on defend
Oh,
because you didn't
you
go
get-
for that.
He does, but then Greg will
couldn't,
pick
could
up
I?
Storm and Locust, won't he?
So and you've done Locus, I think.
Yes, yeah.
So you're going to get 2 for that.
Yeah.
And Storm, you'd certainly take
5.
Storm for 5.
Took
Yeah.
it by Storm,
Yeah.
for sure.
So we're stretching now to a 43-18 in WTC points. Ben, I can't math.
So
Can
then
you?
he can...
I'm thinking I'll just confirm it with the players. I've got 43-18 presently.
That looks about right to me.
Just confirm it's right.
43-18.
Yeah. Because Greg scored his
yeah.
primary, he scored
And he's got
12
2 here,
plus
hasn't
yeah, so
Have you got
16 primary.
Yeah, so
Oh, yeah.
at
That
the
one, that
moment
one,
it's a
this one. I also
14-6
see
to
that, I've
Greg,
got
but it's
this one
1
as well.
point off of a 15.
38-18?
Yes, he is.
The
38,
problem
18?
is, I now
score was
can't
it,
see
sorry?
where Phil is getting many more points
43-18
from.
I've got.
Cool. We'll
Yeah,
go
that
with
is. Yeah, that's it.
Because
Yeah.
the primary score when
Yeah.
you went to the toilet, 12
Oh, he's got another 4.
plus
Sorry,
the 2 secures, which was 4, so 16 he
okay.
got on that.
So he's got what? Right, so you have...
Because you didn't control that no man's where the
Yeah.
castigator was.
So how many did you get? Three primary?
These 3.
Right, okay.
Because I wasn't on that one, was
And
I?
then you got 2 guard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's just check.
Yeah, 42-18?
Yeah,
42.
43-18 is what I've got.
We'll go with your score. It's just a rough guide, it's fine.
Okay.
I
43.
think I've mathed out 43-18 when I was tracking it as
Okay,
well.
good.
It's to go to your question, Ben. You're right. Even though it's only almost a
let me just see when
15-5 right
I'm
now, you're right. I
trying
just
to
don't
get
know what Phil can do to
Blind
really have a big score.
intervention.
Greg will get 50 primary here. I
Comes up
can't
to
see any
thirds.
way he
No,
doesn't
yeah.
pick up max primary.
At the end of the
He
phase,
scored
which we'll
strong on
save now.
secondary.
She
Phil's
gets back up.
not going to get any
You
primary
substitute
again
in
this
one miracle
turn,
dice.
and he's not going to be in position to score
So
primary
he gets back up
next
with
turn
1
either.
wound, but if you
Well, I think you can get it next turn.
use a miracle dice,
If he cleans
You
up
roll a
Angron, which
D3
is a
add 1 to each
necessity
miracle
and is
dice.
almost guaranteed at this point, he
So-
does have 2 tanks that can shoot it,
D3
including an
plus 1 for the
immolator.
amount of wounds
Angron's
he's back on.
dead. Without Angron,
2 wounds. Great.
does Greg have enough to
So
keep
you'll
the
have it.
pressure on?
It's got to be
So-
outside. Oh.
Oh, so the
Yes.
the crazy Mitch gets back up.
Yep.
Wait, what? Oh, there is a
Thank you,
stratagem
Anthony.
for sisters, yes. I can't
a
remember
character.
Did you want to
all off the top of my head, but it's annoying as hell.
I mean,
You
3,
didn't.
isn't it?
She does. She goes out of combat.
Yes, divine interventions. You can spend 1 to 3 miracle dice, and then
You're
you roll a
done. Back to me.
d3, adding
Back to
1
you,
for
yeah.
each miracle dice that you
Is this-
discard, and that
is
model
this
comes back with the
alternative?
same amount of
This
runes
is-
remaining.
Yeah,
So
the bottom of
yeah,
3
she's
now.
back up. She has her enhancement again, I
So-
believe, so she's still super angry and
Mine
has
go
many
back in the
attacks.
thing, won't it?
But she's
Because
not
I'm-
locking Angron in combat.
Picked him from here.
No, which is a good thing. I mean, Angron now
Recover
dies,
assets
but he's
and
going to have to
extend
commit
battle
shooting
lines.
into him,
So
which is
Yeah.
a shame.
we're just going to draw up the missions here. So this is Phil's turn 3. So this is Sister's turn 3.
Mm-hmm.
Turn 3. And what secondaries did you draw, Phil?
Recover assets
Recover
and extend battle lines.
And extend. Okay,
Recover assets is a nightmare at
Recover-
2,000 points.
recover is a nightmare at this stage.
Gotta
I'd
be
say.
two
Not what he
units, hasn't it?
wanted.
Yeah.
Not what he wanted. I don't think he can score really either of those.
Okay.
He wanted
Sense.
something like bring it down and no prisoners, because he needs to kill his way out of the hole he's found
think-
himself in, and secondaries that support that would have been an absolute godsend.
Need to give
God
yourself
Emperor
another
said,
dice for
sorry,
the
stay on
temple
brand.
killed,
Um,
and the canoness that he killed.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, when he wants to
Angron
get
doesn't
back up, yeah.
survive
Yep.
this time. I mean,
She
Greg
died.
will get a chance to bring him
Yeah.
back in his turn,
Yeah,
which
and
will
then-
be the final now in the coffin. But
But does it
Still
matter?
on there,
if
the
Angron
four,
dies now, does
and
Greg have
one
the
based on
pressure
sisters.
elsewhere to just clean up?
So 4.
I
And
think
the
Phil needs to score primary.
Hospitaler's
So
got a-
what I'm
that reroll one
hoping
of
he
them,
doesn't
so we're gonna
do
reroll a 3
is shoot Angron to death.
into a 5.
At least without moving something. I
Yeah,
mean,
got
he's
my
got the
CP, he
canoness
gives
on
us
there,
CP.
back on the objective, so at least if he kills Angron,
Okay,
he gets the
so
primary.
need to think some strategy now.
1 CP.
I believe the
I need to
canoness has
recover
lethal
assets.
hits, so if he wanted
I'm
to,
gonna
he
keep
could
that.
risk just
I
sending
don't
her
really want
into
to waste
combat.
the CP getting rid of it now, even though I could do with the points.
Yeah, I mean,
We'll see
whatever
if
he
this
puts in that
next
middle
turn comes off early
objective.
and we'll decide.
Remember, you've still got the berserkers on one. You've got the
extend battle lines is
jackals
possible.
sat on the middle objective.
Yeah, Berserker's on a number 11 on
Yeah,
objective
let's
2
go.
and 1
Let's push
can just
back.
converge on that center objective.
Yeah, so he can
Okay.
Greg
Let's
can
go.
just deny primary now.
You ready?
He doesn't. He can probably
Angron
put that
captain's high now.
berserker unit on the edge of the objective as well, without even committing.
Yeah, and
Greg
let's not forget
doing
as
it.
well, there is a brigand on his home field objective that no longer needs to stay there because he's cleaned up the deep striking threat.
Absolutely.
That can move forward and start pressuring the tanks with its melters as well.
Yeah, I think it moves on to the middle objective with line of sight. You
Angron's got 2
move
wounds left.
the jackals onto number 10, or whatever I think it is, the middle objective, and then you
Part 2 of Angron Must Die.
But
just
yeah,
keep. All we need to do now
it's
is
hard.
deny Phil's primary and he wins.
Yeah, so it's just about not losing your head, staying in the game, trying to skill people up. Every point matters.
Is he part of the show now?
Yeah. Yes.
He's going to move.
I want to see a good, clean game.
Yeah, I agree, Josh. Like, and if this was like a friendly game, no consequence, no, those sort of situations, there might be a call to maybe just
failing people,
concede. But as you said, we're in a league where every WTC point matters, and if Phil can squeeze this to a narrower margin, it's only going to benefit him later on in the league standings.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you've got the Swiss pairing, so you're going to go into someone with the same win-loss rate. So if you're carrying in more points into that loss bracket, and you manage to get a win later, you're just going to start creeping back up that leaderboard.
Yeah.
I just think it's going to make a huge difference to your standing in the long run. It might not feel like it when you're there. You want to win every game, but I tell you, by the end of game 6, you'll wish you've got that extra point.
Yeah, make your opponent work for it, no matter how bad it may look.
Some good movement here by Phil. I think he's realised he's definitely got enough to pick Angron up this turn. That berserk unit aren't in combat again, as we spoke about in the last turn. If they'd consolidated into that unit, they're also safe from shooting without a fallback. Now that berserk unit, because they're whole within that terrain, that the unit can see them, the tank can see them. They're liable to be picked up this turn by Phil. He can. I maybe it would have been sensible to advance with that unit to get onto the go round and get on the objective with the expectation he shoots and kills the berserkers.
Is it weird that I'm looking at this now and I'm starting to think that Phil can really start to close this up if he picks up that berserker unit and Angron and starts picking up objective 3 and objective 2 primary scoring over the course of the next. We are only at the top of. We're at the back end of turn 3. There's 2 turns of guarding available here.
He's got 2 turns as well. He can score. The problem he's got to get himself in position to score that primary, which means he can't just shoot and kill that berserker unit because he's not on the objective. So he's got to figure that out. He's got to get himself. I mean, I wouldn't want to be charging a berserker unit.
That was going to be my next question. Do you put in enough firepower to knock them to like 1 or 2 guys? And then go in, or do you just go, do you know what, I just need to delete this unit and not score primary, and otherwise I'm risking my unit getting picked up on a backswing?
I would argue, and I've got to be careful here because I'm in the room, but I would argue there's a phrase that starts with a B and maybe has an S in it as well that you have to be careful of.
Right, do some shooting.
2 words, B and S. And it's not bullshit.
Yeah, I was thinking I'm terrible at, never been particularly good at Wordle, mate, so
right, mate.
It's lost on me here.
So, Sacrosanct.
Yeah, I mean, he's just got to be careful because if he shoots the berserker unit,
They could blood surge into combat. They could blood surge into combat with those sisters. No.
If they lose,
I'm glad you both picked up on it.
I was gonna say they can also sticky the objective as well. So
yeah, if they die, they sticky it. If they don't die, they blood surge in and just shred them. Phil
has put himself in quite a pickle here because the squad aren't going to go in and pick up the berserkers.
Oh no, they're not. He needs to like if he had the castigator, you just fire the castigator to the berserkers, guaranteeing that the entire squad ends up dead. If he incidentally kills one, he's shooting himself in the foot.
Then the rest of his shooting's gone and he can't get there. And that's what I mean about I can't see where he's going to get primary from. Yes, he'll have this one objective, but if you're Greg, you just move those jackals, just sit on the lip outside, get enough OC on it, deny the primary for Phil, and you know you're going to be winning 15, 16 points without much trouble. He doesn't need. Greg scored the points now. Field points is just as powerful as scoring them.
Yeah.
That's something again to really focus on. Is often you're seeing games that people will push to score that 3 points, but inadvertently are giving up 4 to their opponent. So if you can deny 4, that's obviously much better than scoring 2 or 3, and
Yeah,
that's something that you've really got to focus on.
Because Greg is just farming 12 points a turn on objective, the middle objective that the Jackals are on, and the Berserkers on objective 1. Even if they just sit there for the rest of the game, he's fine.
So what? Something bad's just happened to Phil.
Yeah, something bad. Yeah, I saw a lot of sadness. Please explain.
What's happened?
I missed with a hunter killer missile.
Well, that's going to happen every time. Never rely on hunter killer.
Every time.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
Right, fine.
So has Greg again forgotten that he can surge into that unit?
Yes.
Which again is massive, because that allows.
That's more shooting again. I think this is definitely Greg, you might need to just rewatch a couple of little bits of this because we can't tell you now, even though we'd love to tell you.
I was worried I was giving too much away before with my cryptic message.
Yeah, I mean, it's massive because he then picks that unit up in field turn.
Yeah.
And then
it's free real estate. It's just free real estate.
It's absolutely huge, and it's what makes these units so powerful.
I feel like everyone gets. I feel like everyone gets one reminder, but I can't do it every time.
Not like this. No. Not like this. It's too consequential. If Phil gets that unit picked up, his ability to do anything for the rest of the game falls apart here.
I imagine, I'm just having a look, I imagine Mike Darby is sat in chat, pulling his hair out, screaming at the chat.
No, but Mike has actually said in the chat, he's just gone, just tell him. Just tell him to do it, like. Just tell him, boys.
No,
we can't, Mike.
It's one of those things where it's just like, fair is fair, where I want a clean game, but I can't tell people what to do.
Yeah, it's been discussed several times. It's the same rules for both players. It is, we're not here to... We're here to slag them off on chat when they do it wrong. We're not here to correct them, which I know sounds really strange, but I think many of you also live by that concept of a lot of us learn better when we do something wrong. And as you said, I think if Greg watches this back, it's a lesson that he'll learn. He'll pick up. He won't do it again.
Dalby, we can't ask Greg's dad to call Greg now, just because he's in chat, right?
And just scream blood surge down the phone. Blood surge, blood surge.
Look, the situation is that like Greg has called his own blood surges out a couple of times and has either taken them or not taken them, and I think it's just one of those times where it's even the most experienced player will forget a little rule that could make a big difference. It just happens.
Yeah, and you know what? To Greg's credit, he's done remarkably well without using some of his most powerful rules. So when those things start to kick into his play, he's going to very quickly go up a level or two. And I think that's what's really great to see is that his movement is actually spot on. He's made some very, very sensible decisions in this game.
Yeah,
he's made the right movement. I think when he realises he can get even more for free, his eyes will light up, and it'll be amazing.
Bognog and Dalby, I think the smart move here is if you're all in club on Thursday, just let Greg know then that just to remind himself constantly that blood surge is a thing. Like when I play CSM, I always used to forget that my legionaries could re-roll wounds on objectives, and it took me about 7 or 8 games to eventually where I was like muttering it under my breath every time I touched the unit.
What
just
are we doing?
To remember.
What are we doing now, gents?
So the Exorcist has just fired into. And the boat saved.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So we're still in the shooting phase, just to clarify. But
where did Angron go?
5 damage.
Where did Angron go?
He died.
I'll be back in a minute. Don't worry.
What did he die to? He died to heavy bolter. Justice.
Oh, that's pathetic. Oh, I bet he's furious at that. 666s are coming.
But to pick up on a point Ben said that,
cool.
Yes, it's great to see good movement, and then things being forgotten and rules being mislaid. A lot of that will come from playing the same army over and over again, but that's the difference between a tiny difference in performance between someone who's fantastic and someone who's not quite there yet, a middling player, right down the middle of the board. Is just forgetting that.
Get those reps in with those key units.
Oh,
Again,
charge,
which
sorry,
is
yeah.
quite big. I don't think Greg's done it this game. In a minute, when he does his
Charge with the
blessings roll,
Celestian Sacrosanct.
he has 3 units on
5.
objectives that have
They
the
are in.
ability to re-roll his blessings dice.
Wow.
I think it's only the
Oh,
jackals. I
shit.
don't think the Zerkers can do
No,
it.
the Khorne Berserkers get the icon of Khorne as well.
Do
It's
they?
a free upgrade you can give the unit.
Oh,
So
damn.
Holy shit.
if he rolls 2 6s on his blessings dice,
Don't worry, it's
he's
nothing
got
you're doing
3
now.
attempts
We're
to
talking
get
about the
another
past game.
Alright, okay.
What's happened 10, 5, 15 minutes ago? Sorry, I've got to be
Yeah.
careful what I say. I'm in the room. You guys can talk all you want.
one. No,
but-
absolutely.
Cool.
So
Okay.
Yeah.
it's
Right, so
in
in
that
terms of the
instance,
attacks,
if you actually look
these
at the
have
maths
got-
of blessings roll, he's got 9 dice. Actually, he's effectively got 12 dice to roll. So if he can pick up a couple
on
of
infantry
early
potentially,
sixes,
yeah.
that threat of
So they got anointed
coming back
halberds, 3
suddenly
attacks,
becomes quite
sustained
real.
1.
Interestingly,
so that's
Phil's
usually
decided to just pump the gas here.
12
He's
attacks.
gone into the Berserkers in melee, I believe, with a Dominion squad.
No.
I don't know what their melee profile's like, but if
hitting on
he can
3s,
pick up at least
and
2 or
6s are
3 of them,
sustained.
I don't think the unit's going to
Do I?
go away here. But he is rolling
So
pretty well.
1, 2,
No, but
3 going back in.
it really good move again. Good move from Phil. It
And
highlights
these are
that
strength
if Greg had
5.
consolidated or blood surged, even if they die, Phil isn't on the objective. I don't think they do pick them up. If I'm honest, I think the Berserkers will quite comfortably get back hard here, and he'll have enough to hold the objective. But maybe Phil can do enough
Okay,
to
so
buy the primary, in which
4,
case it's a
6,
great
8.
move.
I'm looking at the Dominions on his list, and it looks like they've all got close combat weapons. That lack of AP and strength is probably going to just mean that they bounce.
Although someone somewhere is screaming grenade into the void. 'Cause
Oh, yeah. There was the grenade option too, which would have been very tasty indeed.
could have just helped a little bit.
Okay, so
They've-
two dead.
They've got AP1, the sisters in there.
AP2.
Oh, wow. So they're on a 5+ save. So yeah, you pick up 2.
Yeah,
Did he
Yeah.
not activate the Feel No Pain for this battle round?
No, I don't think he
no.
did.
So the
Thought he did
grenade,
it, Fran.
the grenade
went
would have been the
for I think he
difference
went for
between
sustain.
killing the unit and I think.
Yeah.
I think Greg went for sustained hits and advance and charge, which I think is a perfectly viable set
Yeah.
of blessings to take.
Yeah.
But the sustained hits now off those berserkers will likely mean that however many of them are
Yeah,
left, if there's 2 of them, will just push them over the top.
But now he's
Yeah.
obviously Phil's going to get onto the objective. He potentially does stop the primary now, rather than it being on Greg's terms off the objective. So good
Once
move.
those
by
berserkers
Phil.
get angry, we'll have to see how angry they are.
I would be surprised if they don't pick them up, if I'm honest.
Okay.
Strength is 5.
Well, they haven't charged, which means they won't get the extra attack or the extra pip of strength.
So they don't get extra strength or
No,
attacks,
but
no,
I'd
the
hope
charge.
Phil has left the big strength 8 -2/2 weapon in
3 on
there.
the Sacrosanct.
Oh yeah, the big eviscerator. You always leave that.
Hang on a minute, so
he's not
they've got a
rolling great.
leader with them, so they are -1
No.
to hit, -1 to wound,
However,
sorry.
actually, in this instance, I would say that the eviscerator is not worth keeping in there, because the sisters are
2 -1.
only
One
1
wound.
damage, 1 wound. You probably want the extra
so it goes.
attacks.
And then the eviscerate.
Well, they
Phil's rolling
survived
well.
the first one.
Okay.
They can't die now. So, yeah, being false Greg, the issue from Greg there by not taking the 2 opportunities to consolidate, it's effectively going to cost him
AP?
points because he
Minus
could have
2
left
for
1
4 up.
model on the objective and picked up the 4.
So this is really important now, depending on how many berserkers pick up, because the dominions are 1 OC each, but Khorne berserkers are OC2. So if 2 dominions get picked up, then the Khorne berserkers will continue to hold that objective.
And he's already going to be scoring 10 primary next turn as well because he's got the 2
Yeah.
defense, the 2 no-mans. Probably puts him close to capping primary
Well,
at that point.
he's flipped that objective against all the odds.
How many berserkers are left on it?
2, and he's got a full squad. And actually, I think there's
That's enough, yeah. The OC is in favour of the sisters. He's managed to flip it. That's massive.
good job, Phil. Yes, I'll add some scores. What have you got? Extend battle lines. You scored that for 5 or for?
He
Yeah.
did.
Nice.
Recover assets. Get in the bin, I think.
So you're getting rid of it, or you're keeping it? So give yourself a CP.
that's the right decision. Recover assets is one of the most challenging secondaries to pick up in Pariah Nexus, even when you have it turn 1 or turn 2 with a full 2,000 pound army.
Yes, I agree, Nathan. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No.
So what's the score you have?
42-23.
Yeah, 43-23. Perfect. Great. Well, so that is the top of turn 3, which means it's not too bad. There's 20 points between the two of you. Picking up Angron was good. You've been pushed back, Phil. We're interested to see what happens now. But then it is Greg's turn 4. So please draw your secondaries and give yourself a CP, please, Greg.
We just skip that bit and get to the blessings of Cornroll, where he gets 3 6s.
Oh yeah. Well, we could. When does the? May I ask when
At
the
the start
blessings
of
of
the month,
corn?
please. Yeah.
Oh, so actually, well, you can choose. You can do your corn roll now, or you can draw. You've drawn now. So what did you get, mate?
Sabotage.
Sabotage.
Yes.
Doable. There's a jackal unit hiding in a building.
Sab, and what was the second one? Sorry.
Containment.
Sabotage and containment.
Containment is...
It's an auto. He's got that defending unit at the bottom on number 1, so it's a 3 points. Why not?
I think, Do you take it at this
Jackal
point, Ben,
squad
just to
at home.
keep scoring something, just keep that ball rolling?
I think if you're Greg, you want to maximise score now. He can score the 6 pretty easily by moving the Jackal squad at the top. Advance if he's got the movement to advance them out. Auto advance a 6. Pick up the 6 on containment. He's just got 10 on primary, the 2 objectives plus the 2 guards.
I don't think he can advance. No, I got advance in an action's a no, right?
Containment it is still an action. You're correct. It's not just within 9. So it's whether he's got the movement, but he's still got this little single berserker that can actually just walk onto the objective.
God, is he still there?
Yeah, if he walks onto the objective, does containment, that actually, if those berserkers survive, it's in the OC of 6.
This has been a fantastic game, I have to say.
It's been really fascinating.
It has. I had fear. I had fear that either Angron would just ball through the army, or the sisters would just clean up the berserkers before they could get into combat. But it's been back and forth, at least in terms of territory taken.
Yeah.
Once Greg gets his 10 primary, it's a 30-point game at that point. So you're looking at a 15-5, realistically. Can take the right move to make now for Greg is to commit and take those 2, rather than trying to sit those Zerkers and score 4 on primary turn 5. He's much better off pushing out now and denying Phil the 8 on primary. Take those 2 objectives back, get the 8-point swing.
Right, so I'll do me corn dice, Phil.
Oh,
so I've got 1.
Here we go.
Here we go. And if you're Greg, you've got to be tempted to get drawn back and then just contain him, really take the mech.
Battle shock, doesn't it?
No, it's 7 or above, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
No battle shocks.
Wishful thinking there, and it's the number of corn as well. How dare I?
Yeah, so he's okay. Do they need to do battle shock as well?
Like, I don't have a horse in this race. I'm not thinking favourites.
6.
They're fine.
they're-
Space Marines
they're
are
fine.
ship 6, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Really,
So
really
they're fine,
stretching
they're
this out
fine.
for us for the crowd.
That's
Yeah,
it.
like I don't have any particular person that I want
do
to win, but
corn roll and
Angron
look at
coming
Bran.
back
4,
in any
6,
game is
8.
just, it's huge.
Triple 6.
Here we go.
But I can re-roll 1, 2,
Now-
3.
And he's
Oh, he's
recognised
noticed the
the rerolls.
rerolls?
Yeah.
Oh,
But
dear.
Icon of corn, yeah.
It's on an objective you
So I can
control,
re-roll 3
so
dice.
He's
it should only be
learning.
2 rerolls.
He's beginning to... Oh, there's no 6s there.
Not a single sausage.
No, there's 1.
There 1 6? I
Balls.
mean,
Oh,
you
there is.
ball.
The light.
You ball.
So, hang on a minute.
Now,
Boxcars, let's go.
Yeah.
he can
so I've
do
got a
these
4.
rerolls.
This Angron will come back, guys. Don't worry, this is
Yeah.
about to
They've got
happen.
an icon of corn, but they have to be.
Phil,
within
sub in a couple of
range
miracle
the
dice for him. Make it happen for us.
Re-roll 3.
He's got a couple of doubles.
Yeah, boy.
So
Oh.
I believe...
This is
Oh my god.
Oh, wait. I think that was a knock dice.
Oh, was it?
Oh, no. Oh, come on.
I
didn't see it.
I think the bottom one was the...
Nope.
Oh, no. It
There's
doesn't
4.
matter. It was
There's
the knock
4
dice.
anyway.
There's 4 anyway.
Doesn't
If it's the
matter,
knock
there's
Here's the
one.
monkeys.
So just one thing at this point, because it's quite critical in the game, I will just say is I'm not sure why. I believe he should only have 2 rerolls because you do have to control the objective. I believe.
Oh, yeah.
for the
You should
corners
only
of
get 2
dice.
rerolls, though.
Oh, yeah.
Because you only control
Ah.
2 objectives.
No, but this one.
He doesn't control the top one.
Oh,
No,
Uh-oh.
but then we still have 3 6s rather than 4.
Yeah.
And then the knocked dice becomes a thing. I'm rewinding the stream. Hang on. Let's have a
Oh,
look.
hang on. We're taking
oh my god,
VAR.
we have a VAR.
VAR.
We have a VAR.
no, I don't think that's.
Check if. So the first thing is actually just ask Greg to double check. Does he get 3
Just
rerolls
let you
or
control,
2? Is
maybe.
it-
Trust me, we all want Angron to come back, but we have to play fair.
We do, yeah.
Okay, so I'm
I
looking at
think
it
it's
now.
you control.
Hang on, I'm checking for the knocked dice, because if there's no knocked dice, it doesn't matter.
What's happening?
Gotta re-roll it
Why?
because
Let us just. We're 2
Oh, the players
seconds away.
have
We're
the
just
players
checking.
have decided to do the reroll,
Let them crack on then. It's their game, it's their decision.
and there's no 6s that time. So end of conversation.
Cool. I mean, there was a brief, beautiful moment where a red comet was just going to land in Phil's backfield.
I was starting to
But
know.
not today.
I couldn't have watched Phil's little face if Angron just landed.
Stop! He's already dead.
It would have been a challenge.
I can still re-roll 2 though. I can still re-roll 2 dice.
You can, but you're not gonna get a 6. But yeah, you
No,
may.
no, but
Yeah.
I'm looking for
Some more combos.
What it is?
Well, there's a 6, but you got 2
We,
4s.
we've got 222, which does give him access to most of his pretty naughty stuff.
double
Yeah.
6 or triple 4. No.
So we've lost the mic on the players, unfortunately. So I'm just going to use my mic now for the players and myself.
Just trying to think. What has he got options for?
I think I'll have +2 to move and feel no pain. So
Yeah, I think at this point that's a fair thing to go for. Just survivability at this late stage of the game is crucial, and getting a bit more speed just to get in there and pressure like you suggested, Ben. I think that's probably the way to go here.
Yeah, Greg can just go denial now. Make sure you stop Phil from picking up more points. You've got the gap you need for a convincing win. I mean, Greg is on 53 as well, bear in mind. It's not on the 10 for primary haven't gone on yet, so he does have a 30-point lead at the moment.
Yeah, I just want to address in the chat as well. Mike said, is his home sticky by jackals? It is sticky by jackals, yes. But to get the reroll, you have to be standing on an objective that you control, not to have made a objective like sticky under your control.
they're doing sabotage, yeah. And then the other containment is him. Yeah, they can both do it.
Oh, he's just going for pure secondary gain here. So with sabotage and containment, that's another 9 points on top of what we've already got.
Yeah, to answer your question, Mike, his War Dog can leave. For me,
Right.
the War Dog steps onto the middle objective. You move the Jackals forward onto looks like 2 or 3 that Phil's on. They've got the OC to take it off him. You just go denial now. You keep scoring your points if you're Greg.
Have we added Greg's primary on for this because he's still on
No,
43?
he's got 10 to go on still.
Yeah.
Sorry, got 12 to go on because he
12
held
to go
2
on.
objectives and 2 defense.
And 2 guards. Yeah. Tech Savant, are you in a position to update the score? Uh-oh. We've lost tech support.
Josh gave the players his mic because their mic stopped working. So I believe Josh can hear us. He just isn't able to speak at the moment, which...
Okay. So we'll verbally update the team then. So it looks like we're
Yeah,
at
it-
55
it's-
points to Greg and 23 to Phil after Greg has scored his primary at the start of turn 4.
It is, and we know he's picked up some decent secondaries here to be able to score, so we can probably send Phil into his turn sat at a 17-3 at that point, which
Yeah.
gives Phil more work to do.
Yeah, because it would be what, like 64-23? That's quite a big margin to try to overcome. That's a lot of work for Phil. Yeah, the Jackals are coming forward as well to try and get to grips with that objective.
If you get within.
Is that a flat 6
Yeah.
on the move? Is that, or just a D6?
Oh, and yes, Barry, you're right. There's no point scoring for the home objective at this stage of the game. He can't take it, but that War Dog's only sat there because he had to run backwards to kill the Seraphim a couple of turns ago. So it's not that he's camping it there. I think it's definitely on its way up.
No, I mean he hasn't pulled defend yet in Greg's defence. He hasn't, which is a potential 3 that he wants.
It is a 3, but at this stage of the game, I think, as you said earlier, Ben, it's just put the boots on the throat. You just got to stamp down now, right?
Yeah, he's going to get the 6 for containment this turn, Greg. He's put the Berserker behind the crate. He's got the bottom Berserker squad. That's another 6. So, as it stands, that puts him on 61 to Phil's 23. If he can comfortably out OC or kill Phil off these 2 objectives, he should be able to do. Phil doesn't become any primary turn 4. And then you look at it, it's an 18-2 at that point, and Phil's got some real work to do.
We've agreed that Phil does have work to do here. What do you think he can do? What specifically do you think he does? Because it looks like right now Greg's screening out that middle objective with bodies.
Yeah, so he's the reactive mood there is pretty strong. I mean, he's done what he can. He's gone as far back as he can. I guess it would have been pretty big if Greg had managed to get the advance and charge. It would have been massive because he could have just chucked the jackals on the objective on the lip and not worried.
Yeah.
That's a big charge. If he can get that charge and to pick that squad up, deny Greg the primary, that's all that squad need to do. He's scored his primary points now. I think he needs 4 points to max primary at this point.
Oh, there can't be much left, right?
You can't do grenades if something's in combat, can you?
No, you can't.
No, so just to answer, Barry's asked a couple of questions. So, no, he hasn't scored defend yet, and I think he's got one eye on that. Middle objective number 6 is sticky, so he can afford to move the jackals on, and he doesn't need to move the knight on. I think maybe the time to move the brigand was a turn ago. At this point now,
he's fine where he is, right?
If you move him 12 inches, maybe he gets line of sight around the corner of the building to put some shots down into the not sure where his investigator's dead. Looks like the immolator, he'll be able to see. But at this point in the game, keep it there, get the 3 on defend. If you put it turn 5, that maybe is the difference between a 17, 18 or a 19. So I think it's the right decision. This is big here. I mean, I can't 7 with an inch for engagement. The objective itself is only 6 inches wide, so they have to be in range. And I think sometimes you can tell he's rolled a 7. The objective is not more than 7 inches across, so they are 100% in. Sometimes your measurements can go a bit wonky, but yeah, some things are finite, if that makes sense. You know that objective is not more than 6.
Yeah.
So what's happening, gents?
So, my jackals are charging his sacrosanct. So I have to re-roll a charge.
Yeah, and they made it.
Oh, great, was the top squad.
Yeah.
That's huge.
That's clean. It's clean up now.
That's massive because Phil is not going to be able to shift both those units, and if he kills one, Greg
just finishes the job and he can stick it.
Yeah, stickies it. He picks up his. I mean, I would also now turn have the Jackals guard in.
Yeah, and I'd throw that unit of Jackals that's in the middle straight into that unit on objective 3 as well. Just get all the pressure on.
That's the charge. That's the charge that's coming next. We know that's a maximum of 6.
Yeah.
He has used the reroll though, so that's pretty big. If he can get that middle charge off as well, he's going to deny Phil any primary.
Ben, if you're Phil right now, you've got 2 tanks sat on your home field objective. Oh, sorry, if you're Greg right now, you can see your opponent's got 2 tanks sat back there. Do they factor in at this point anymore as a force multiplier?
No.
Are you worried?
I think Greg is playing again. He's playing this well with the movement. Great, it's 2 tanks. The best thing that all those 2 tanks are going to be able to do is push out, he can't guarantee killing a unit with his shooting. We've seen the way the Castigator has rolled today. And if he does kill the unit he shoots at, Greg pulls the CP to sticky it. So, if he remembers, of course. But that basically renders those tanks pretty useless, other than they've got to be aggressive next turn. Turn 4, Phil's got to come out with those tanks and get onto those objectives. He's got to score points somewhere.
Measuring up for that charge. Oh, it's 7. It's a 7. As you said, 6-inch objective radius. We know we're on.
I mean, I echo. I've just seen Mike's comment in the chat for Jackals are seen as a chaff squad, but my word, when they get in on a charge, do they hurt?
Yeah, they are. I would agree with Mike to some extent. Like, there's not a lot of amazing chaff. I think Chaos Space Marine cultists are pretty good because they're sticky, but they offer nothing on offense. Whereas Jackals, as you said, they can slap.
Ironically,
they're expensive. Josh, Chaos Legionaries are not chaff.
Yeah, I
like
think
Jackals are 50 odd points, aren't they? They're dirt cheap.
It's a bit like the World Eaters Chaos spawn as well. Insane. 5 up invuln, 4 up feel no pain.
Just send them on. Just send them in. Do some shenanigans. I'd be really interested to see how this combat shakes out.
I mean, you'd expect Phil to really go into his turn 4 with 2 tanks left, which is obviously a big issue for him.
But
the benefit he has is obviously he will score his primary at the end of turn 5.
Yes.
So, in theory, if he keeps the tanks alive, if he positions them in a way that he can at least reach some objectives, he has the chance of picking up 8 points.
Yeah, he could shoot a couple of units. He could shoot a unit off an objective and walk onto it at the end of turn 5, and declare that he's guarding it immediately as well, because he's last man in. He can pick up 6 rather than 4.
So, he actually can't.
Okay,
So
not.
no. So one of the changes is that it does the actual mission specifically states that it only triggers at the end of the game. It doesn't specify the end of the end of the turn. Because he can start the guard, it says at the end of your opponent's next turn, there is no opponent next turn.
Right.
So the benefit of going, it's different this mission, because if you go first, you get an extra opportunity to score in the game. If you go second, you obviously get to be able to walk on and score big primary at the end across all the objectives. So it's pretty balanced, but that could be the difference. At the moment, that could be the difference between Phil losing this 19-20 nil and picking up a point or 2, but he's got to move those tanks forward.
Yeah, I think you're right. And what does Greg have left that could feasibly clean up those tanks apart from the Brigand? And as you said, the Brigand might be too far away to interact at this point, realistically.
So if, again, we're talking about minute movements. That Jackal squad in the middle objective there, if they pick up that unit in combat, which with the piling you'd expect them to, you want to pile in a way that you can block the tanks from getting onto the objective. And if he does, consolidate, and if he does that, and consolidates across so the tanks can't get on, even if Phil charges him and shoots him, he just sticks the objective and he stops Phil getting on it.
Mike, to answer your question, there are no secret missions in play. I don't think there were really any that any of the players could have feasibly completed.
No, Phil'd already lost his Warlord. He doesn't have the units for Unbreakable Wall. He doesn't have any battle line left to get into the home, into the deployment zone. So yeah, and he doesn't have a Warlord to capture the home. So really, secrets just weren't an option for him.
As you said, it can be quite a high scoring turn 5 for Phil in terms of his secondary, in terms of primary pick up at the end of the game as well. So
yeah, he could still get 8 here. I mean, whether Greg's got enough to kill those 2 tanks, it completely depends on does Angron come back and get a charge.
Oh wow, yeah, there's still that opportunity. Turn 5, 9-inch drop in.
That still could happen. So.
Where are we at, gents? How are we feeling?
This is the Jackals into the Sacrosanct.
Yep.
We just put 7 wounds through.
7
No
wounds.
AP.
No AP. So some of them should live.
2+ save.
Yeah, I mean that's quite
2+.
2+. On sisters.
not great from the Jackals there.
Yeah,
There's a bit of hope.
3 plus 4 plus
Oh,
5
3.
plus still no
I was
points.
gonna say.
But, hang on a sec, because I've got I'm not maximum.
I mean, I can only imagine when you can see where the jackals are placed. They're not all in combat, so I think with the movement that he had and the charge he rolled, I'm not sure whether he utilised the pile-in to get that extra movement or not, or whether he could. I imagine that a lot of the jackals didn't attack there because I would have expected more than 8 attacks to go through.
Yeah, I think he's trying to I think he's put himself in a position where he's trying to get as many bodies on the objective as he can, which doesn't necessarily let him spread out and get them all into combat.
No, either way, on the crackback, Phil's not going to do enough damage. I don't think the Castigator can put enough damage to take Greg off those objectives, so he maxes primary next turn.
Mike, I don't know if this is something that that I don't, but Jackal weapons do have sustained hits. I was going to say, is it because he didn't take the blessing, but
In terms of sequencing,
I don't know if the ones with
think he could-
sustained are in range.
So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, you can.
Interrupt the canoness.
So again, and this is to focus on movement. I think Greg is not familiar with the concept of piling and consolidate, because again here, those 6 or 7 at the back there that aren't in combat range, he has now the opportunity to pile in,
Yeah, and
which would allow him to get all of that squad in combat. And I think why his jackals failed to do any damage at the top there is because again he only fought with about 4 or 5 of them. And he's effectively negated half of his unit's attacks, which is massive. Again, in this combat, into that unit with 4, maybe 5 jackals is not going to do the job. He's not
well,
utilised
actually,
that
there might be a chance here. Mike is right. He did pick up on the fact that all of the jackals, apart from the guy with the skull smasher, they do have sustained hits, and I think that's something that Greg might have missed out on there.
Yeah, that's it. They do, and that's the problem.
guys,
And
Phil-
he's now only got 5 guys going into this squad, and I doubt they'll kill them. So
we've got Phil going with
he
the
should have picked both
interrupt
up
here,
there.
Oh wow, Phil's interrupting. Okay, that's quite big.
with the canoness, yeah.
Oh, she's still alive.
Ah, okay, that's what the jackals are wrapped around.
That would explain it. But that. Oh man, the canoness being able to interrupt here is huge. She's got like maybe 5 or 6 attacks at strength 6 or 7, AP 2. And they're sitting on 2s. Oh, there's 2 1s. She has lethal hits, but not sustained. But he's re-rolling.
Okay.
Oh, I think he's missed out on the lethal hits that he gets there. The canoness's power sword does have lethals. Oh, she has the chain sword, not the power sword. That would explain it.
Toughness 3. 3s.
Ooh.
That was the difference between wiping that squad.
Oh, the re-roll's nice though. That's
You did pop the strap for the full rerolls on it.
yeah, that is 6. Yeah, that's 6 going through.
Okay.
Yeah, this could be the difference. Phil could pick up primary here with this.
Which would be huge.
So they don't really get any
Yeah, again,
but
for
then they have a feeling
those
like they-
connoisseurs of the fight phase out there, obviously it was Greg's choice of where to fight. And realistically, I don't think there's any world where you don't put the the jackals into the canoness.
With her
The
4
half
up
and
invulnerable
half.
save.
Well, if you look at Phil's got 3 sisters alive on the top. They're not going to do any damage. So if if you know your opponent's got 2 CP, you know the interrupt survivability, you go into the canoness and the sister squad on the middle objective first before your berserkers die to the canoness, because the top objective doesn't matter. He's got berserks there, he's got jackals there. Whether they take some attacks or not, the berserks alone can pick that squad up this turn. There's only 3 of them left.
I don't get a save because me save 6 plus it's -2.
Oh, I was going to roll 3 of them.
3 of them.
What's your other save?
5 plus.
Yeah. So that canoness, yeah, that is enough. The canoness, because of her enhancement, she's actually +2 strength, +2 attacks, +2 damage. That chainsword is whipping 7, strength 5, it damaged 3 attacks in here.
And this, I mean, that interrupt is massive. So, really, it's just a reminder that.
Oh
when you're
wow,
about
that's
to
2
activate-
jackals that have survived.
Yeah, I mean, when you're about to activate in the fight phase, have a look at the game state, have a look at the board. Where's there a potential interrupt from your opponent? Because that can make or break your fight phase. You've got an instance here where Greg was in a position to pick up 2 or 3 units of Phil's, and instead the Canoness has gone and picked up half his Jackal squad, when he could have removed her as a threat. Yes, she might survive, but the likelihood is she doesn't.
And yeah, Barry, that is correct. That middle objective 4 has been sticky by Jackals. They were camped down on there for quite a while, and Phil's not been able to drive anything onto it at the moment. So yeah, it's held. Oh, here we go. The counting up for the Jackals.
Are Jackals 1 or 2 OC?
They're
Guessing
one
they're
each.
2, because are they only 1? I thought
I'm
they'd be 2 as
almost
the battle
certain they're
line.
1. Not all battle line gets OC2, but I will check that for you. Jackals are 1 because they come in squads of 10. So like Space Marine battle line are OC2 generally in squads of 5.
So he does. So he now, if he can pick up a few sisters here, he will still hold that objective as well. So he's got the crackback still. So I think, yeah, not interrupting. Sorry, not killing that Canoness and letting her interrupt potentially gets Phil 4 points, which is massive at this point, because that stops Greg from running away with the game. So great decision from Phil, and I think we also have to say, rather than just saying Greg's made a mistake, you have to
Phil
give
recognised that
plaudits
and
to
took
Phil
it.
there. He recognised the opportunity. He used the CP. He made the interrupt, and it's potentially scored in points. So great play from Phil.
Yeah, Barry. Yeah, you're right. He could have maybe moved that war dog up for a guard, but I think again, it's the choice between if he picks up defense stronghold next turn, that's 3. Yeah, there's a lot of permutations.
Yeah, I'd also say if I've worked it out right, because bearing in mind Greg's score is not on the screen. He's actually on
50. He's on 55 at the moment.
Plus secondary. So
plus sabotage and containment yet to score. Yeah.
I actually think no. He needs another
12, mate.
Points on.
Yeah, he needs 12 more.
He's also got 6 on containment,
which will they'll tick on at the end of this turn, pushing him up to 61, and then sabotage as well could go all the way up to 64.
Yeah, I think to answer Barry's question, I actually think with his turn 5 scoring, because Phil does still have his turn 5 scoring to go, he's gonna cap armor anyway.
Those sisters are going nowhere. The 3 up armor saves. He dropped 1.
Wow.
Huge. So that Canoness killing half of that squad is probably the difference between life and death there.
Yeah, so again, reinforces fantastic interrupt. It looks like it's got Phil 4 points here.
3 wounds. No AP.
Oh, hello. 3. Can he make those 3 ups again?
If he can shift a couple more here, then I don't think Phil's going to be able to kill enough to out-OC him. Quite a critical point.
There you go. 3.
It comes to this.
You're gonna roll 2.
Alive.
Dead.
Oh, subbing in. Right. Miracle dice, baby. Never forget about that. So the Canoness gets miracle diced into not being dead.
So, okay, really interesting decision from Greg there, because he puts those attacks into the 6. I believe they're 2 OC each, those sisters, and he picks up 2 of them. He denies Phil 4 points. I think those
sisters are 1. I think they're not battle sisters. They're dominions.
Yeah, the issue is though they're still to attack. So the Canoness has attacked. She's blown her load. She's done her damage. If he picks up that sister unit with all those Jackal attacks, he holds the objective. Phil doesn't get to crack back. He's just stopped 4 points. And I think again that hunger to, you know, that bloody Canoness, she's killed my units, let me deal with her, has perhaps clouded the judgment there, and it's looking like it probably gets Phil 4 points, which is massive at this stage.
Oh, come on, Ben. I know you approach your games with quite an analytical and even-tempered mind, but sometimes you've got to be a little tilted by that one thing that just won't go away, right? You can't blame him for that.
Absolutely. Look, I've said many times on the stream, and I think you'll find, Nathan, is watching the game from this angle gives you such a different perspective. you're able to. You're not worrying about your movement, your attacks. You can just focus on the core mechanics, and it gives you the vision to really see things that you wouldn't normally see.
Yeah.
Trick
We are-
is the streams and remember them for when you're playing.
The hot dodge Chinese nearly took me out there, gents. So nearly had to have a Heimlich from Greg. His nurse instincts were kicking in.
Okay.
Okay, there's damage going in. There are still attacks going in here. There's still chances to clean up some of these objectives.
Yeah, you'd hope the berserks do the job here.
How many attacks this guy got?
I mean, they're not very good if they're not very good at their job if they're not going to. Ooh,
Right, and then
he gets to live.
Phil,
Oh, missed 3 of those big eviscerator attacks.
Nope.
Oh,
And he
the
misses the other one. Oh no! Curse of the commentator there, Ben. You said, "Oh, they're going to do it."
Well, I think Phil's just made something like 14 out of 17 4-5 ups there. I mean, it's an incredible run of dice.
The Emperor protects, apparently.
Fortunately, it's probably come a little bit too late because he still isn't scoring the primary.
No.
He is engaged. Unless he falls back, I'm pretty sure they die next turn when Greg gets to activate. So
Well,
It's almost at a stage now where it's kind of like mathable, right?
I think this primary.
we
on
need
the
to know,
cards here.
Nathan.
There's definitely primary on the cards.
We need to know on Injective 3, are those sisters 1 or 2 OC? Because if they're
So what's
only...
what's happened? Have you finished your turn now?
No, still Greg's turn. We're just.
Have you finished your turn now?
No, we're just doing the final.
Doing the final
combat.
combat.
Final combat. What's the OC on those sisters? They're OC 1 now. Okay.
What about,
On
what about the girls on number 3, the one in the middle?
The girls on the
Three.
bottom, in the middle objective, are they 1 or 2? They're 1 as well.
Oh, wow. So actually, that does mean it's a 0 primary again.
Yeah, Phil needs to bet everything he's got on that final turn being able to move on to those objectives himself without being pushed off them because, well, ultimately the game ends, right? He's got to go for it then, but does he have the movement and the firepower to clear that many bodies?
Well, we know that Greg's already scored 6 on containment.
Oh!
How many?
I mean, this is insane from Phil here. If are those saves again, or are they must be wounds, surely?
I think they're hits.
Wounds.
They'll roll them in.
Wounds.
Wow. I mean, that's an extraordinary run of dice for Phil here.
Okay, he's dropped a
3,
few.
And I've took 3.
Yeah, you lose.
Is that into the Corn Berserkers?
That was into the jackals.
Oh, that's 3 dead. That's 3 less OC.
Yeah, but he's still got plenty there.
I think Phil recognizes at this point it is just he's just doing what he can where he can, right? Make the most of what resources he has available left to him to try and bridge that gap as best he can.
Yeah, maybe you can do enough here to... In the jackals are still to fight as well, I believe.
Actually, but it
Not
looks
sure,
like
both.
he's just picked up another couple of jackals. These feel no pains need to come in clutch.
Yeah, I mean, surely the berserks and the jackals
Three,
haven't
two.
fought into 3 sisters and not killed any.
Well,
Those jackals are starting to fall off that objective.
However it did that, he would have still out OC me on it, so...
yeah, I thought you might have gone
Yeah.
for the Berserkers there.
Yeah, to reduce it by 4. I was hoping to chip.
Well,
yeah.
just to
But
stop the slap
but-
back.
But there's no guarantee
You didn't slap
that
very
you'll
hard,
get.
No.
I
Yeah.
missed.
Right, so
You missed, yeah, the Berserkers have been, they did nothing, but the
But that
Berserkers
last
have a
attack was
3-up armor save, which is something that the
Yeah, but
Jackals do
that
not
last
have.
attack was 2 damage, so 82, so that would have been far more.
Oh yeah,
So
the AB2,
what,
yeah.
what was Greg's secondary?
So you're.
So Greg has.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
So is that the end of turn?
Yes.
So Greg, what? No. Yes, it is. So Greg, what secondaries do you score then?
So I've scored both of them. I've scored
Yeah, so big score,
containment
6 on
over
containment.
there, and I've scored
Did you only contain 1?
2. Sorry.
Okay, so that's 6.
But you haven't scored sabotage, have you?
Sabotage is yet to pop,
I've
but still.
missed thingy that.
Nobody's
another
actually
6.
taken the action to do sabotage.
No,
That's fine. That's fine. So
Oh,
you're gonna
yeah,
do
you don't
that.
need it. He doesn't need it. Because, yeah, he would have had to have kept another unit of jackals back, and he committed everything up instead. Better to take the instant 6 off
think I'll keep
containment
it.
than go.
He's keeping it.
Don't keep it. No.
Okay, so you're keeping it, and then
Yeah.
that brings us into Phil's turn.
So containment.
Okay, odd,
Yeah.
strange decision there from Greg because he's still got some big secondary. He's still got Bring It Down. He's not had.
Yeah.
Angron comes back. That might be a tasty
No
score.
no prisoners is still on the
No
cards for Greg here.
prisoners. Yeah, strange. I mean, I think he's just in his defence. In theory, he can just move that war dog up, pick up the sabotage.
Yes.
It's an easy 3 points.
So what secondaries have you got there, Phil?
This is the next turn, no?
Yes.
So corn dice.
No, it's not. It's not. It's
no,
it's
it's not
not.
a new
It's
round.
Phil's
It's not a
turn
new
4.
It's a new turn.
Yeah, Phil's turn 4, and then we go to battle round 5 after
Assassination
this.
and bring it down.
Oh, assassination is
You
technically an
automatically-
auto score.
It's an auto score on assassination. Bring it down. He does actually have a knight,
The war dog left. Yeah.
so you have to keep it unless you want to burn it.
I think you get rid of it, right, Ben?
12, I think. Just double check.
Yeah, I mean, there's no. Again, if you're Greg, you just don't move your war dog where it can be shot.
Yes.
Instant denial.
12 wounds.
Who-
Oh,
think
he's measuring
Phil-
it up.
He's measuring out
I
for some
mean-
curtains.
I don't know how he's going to get line of sight on it in any meaningful way. if I'm
I don't know,
honest.
unless someone takes away the terrain.
This is a difficult choice for Phil. He's picked up. He's got no primary. He's picked up 5 on secondary with the auto assassination score, so he is on 28 points.
That's a great little
So-
thing to have in your pocket, mind. That assassination
You are
coming
going
up then.
second, Phil. So you will be scoring at the end of your next turn.
Really
Yeah,
good.
something to
it's
consider
only
for
it's only
setting yourself
33
up.
point difference at the moment. So it can still potentially bring this to a worst case. Maybe he can get 6 points out
Can
of it.
Greg score any more
Um,
primary?
Oh,
Max
bloody
primary.
hell. Right, let me do the math. I've
Hang
got
on,
all his
we've got
secondary
Phil.
scores written
I
down.
think he will max it with the defends next turn. So he
Are you sure?
Yeah.
What score have you got for him?
56-28.
no, it's 61.
No, 61 off the containment.
Yeah,
I'll do that.
it's 61-28 at this moment.
What did the score? What my secondaries there?
You had assassinate and
You've got and then bring it down.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So at the moment, it would, to my mind, Greg has got 25 points of secondary, which means he's picked up 36 primary points. He will max out in turn 5, as things stand.
So I've got
He should
60
do,
to 28.
Yeah. Greg can pick up another 14 points of,
61-28 is the
yeah.
score.
and Greg can pick up another 14 points of primary in his final turn. That's his cap.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna.
So did you get
there's
both get yourself
no
CP?
way that Phil can stop him picking up at least 12,
And then the guards.
Um,
Well,
including the guards. What I mean is he can't take 1 off him. He can't take 6 off of him.
no, that's
He's
true.
got he has got the guards. Got the guard at
Hang
the
on.
bottom.
He's got it. 6 is stickied, right? So 6 is stickied. Oh yeah, I keep on forgetting that. Well, the top
Yeah, it's whether he
objective is the top
it's whether he
objective.
holds it in his turn. That's the question.
Yeah.
It's up at least 10 with the 2 nomads and at least 1 guard. I don't think he's got anything guarding 6 anymore.
No, he had the berserkers guarding 1, which is still there. The jackals guarding 6 have moved on to objective 3. That doesn't transfer, so he only has 1 active guard right now.
Yeah. So but Phil can't stop him getting another 10 primary. It means he's going to finish 4 points, 5 points short
Of maximising that primary.
of maximising primary, but he's scored well on secondary. So, I mean, Phil has still kept it reasonable. He's on 28 points. It doesn't look like he's going to get 20 nilled, but he's got to make some moves here. Those tanks have got to move forward. He's got to get them towards the objective. I think his only option here is to fall back with the Sisters squad, leave the Canoness in combat, get those tanks involved.
Yeah. There's only one one berserker on that objective behind that wall. I didn't realise on the number 1.
What? Where did the rest of them go?
Where did the rest of them go? Was that in a indirect?
That was the Sephrim squad that came
The
in.
yeah, the Sephrim.
Yeah, that champ sat on 1 has just been sitting there defending and scoring primary like a champion. I think he's.
Oh,
put like
actually,
20
Mike, I believe that he has been rolling Battle Shock for that lone berserker on number 1.
He has, yeah. He rolled a 7 the first time.
And a 6 the second time around, so he has been passing those Battle Shocks to pick up those points.
Yeah, 2 wounds left in me. But the final pain was the difference, right? The CP.
Anyway.
Yeah, so we are traditionally we're coming up for time now on the game. So
Yeah,
We
but
don't have much
it's
time, gents.
it's more or less mathable, to be fair, at this point. If Phil needs to roll those shooting attacks to see if he can chip away that objective control.
Well, I'd encourage you to move quickly. Because there's a lot of play left.
yeah, he's just got to be careful because if he falls back and shoots and kills that unit, there's the 1-piece sticky available.
But again, we're at the stage
That's
now.
still
They've been
hard.
playing for it. We're at the tail end of the game. Greg's probably at that stage, and I'm guilty of this as well. When I'm pretty far ahead, is that I start like not thinking
Yeah,
super hard about all of the things.
You take your foot off the gas, you sit back.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, he can charge and do a tank shock here. That probably is enough to deal with those Zerkers, you'd hope, with the Canoness in combat.
Oh, you would, wouldn't you?
Sisters in combat, he takes that off, he sits on that objective to score it next turn. Can, in theory, then move the Canoness and the Sisters down to objective 1.
Mm-hmm.
He is going to score into turn 5. So Phil could pick up
12?
at least 8 points. If he
12
can
is the
shoot,
dream, right?
yeah, if he can fall back where those berserkers and those zerks are and put the castigator into that unit, potentially, if he could potentially pick up 12, and that would be massive. That would be at least worth 2 WTC points. So I think that's what Phil needs to play for in this game. How does he score that primary?
And if you're Greg, how do you stop it? Do you just sticky that top objective and then screen the jackals so he can't get onto it?
One thing I will say is, I know that they'll probably remember this, is the actual terrain piece hasn't gone back onto that objective for a couple of turns. So I think it's important to remember that where those Zerks are, there is a terrain piece pretty much protecting them from line of sight at the moment.
Yeah.
So even if Phil falls back, I can't see how Phil gets a line of sight on the Berserks, who in theory get to attack first. And I'm pretty sure they aren't going to roll 1s and 2s again. So I think 8's realistic for Phil. Focus on getting the 8 in turn 5. You need to set yourself up for that now. If he goes after kills, doesn't put himself in a position to get on 2 objectives minimum in turn 5, he's lost the opportunity to score some points.
Yeah, he's doing himself a disservice because, as you said, there's a potential here for him to pick up maybe 2 more WTC points at the end of turn 5. We just have to see if he. Oh, that's a big 6 on the.
I'm thinking.
Oh, he's
he's-
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, hello.
I'm thinking he's
Yeah,
regretting not taking the flame detachment right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the because that's extra
I mean,
firepower.
look, good play from Phil there. He's setting himself up for scoring. The
Yeah.
only risk he has here, and is the War Dog. Maybe with a
yeah.
move can get into melter range.
He may be able to contribute. Yeah, that tank though I think is on it's relatively healthy, right?
There was one that I think's taken a couple of wounds, so I think it's relatively healthy. But yeah, that would be interesting. Turn 5. So there's still a few points to play for here.
It's the executioner firing. It's indirect. He got a 1 on the number of shots.
Oh dear.
So he's
The
going for-
D6
what is it?
attacks
Oh, yeah.
taketh and they giveth away.
Going for it. Oh god.
Uno mas. Just the one.
But, yeah,
Can you substitute miracle dice after the roll?
He hasn't
Yeah.
rolled the wound, has he?
No, but rolled the 3. You missed.
I rolled 3, didn't I?
Yeah.
Only 1 hit.
Yeah.
So I've hit with it.
Yeah.
And then he's turning it into an auto wound.
That's what you're doing.
He's
Okay,
saving
sorry. I thought you were
he's
adding
saving
a
the
hit.
dice for the wounds. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
-3.
To go -2.
Yeah.
Big hit.
So that's 5 plus. Cool.
In the
It
box.
wasn't in the box.
In the box.
No.
It's and it's
Nope.
dead. It's killed himself.
Kaboom.
Berserker.
Does it feel no pain? Yeah, it does. Well, it's D6, isn't it?
D6 wounds. No, it's
What's he shooting?
Yeah, it's feel no pains now, and it should be 5 of them. Which he has done. And he saved 2. He gave it a go. He tried his best. 5 up armor save didn't work out, and then made 2 of the 5 feel no pains, but that was just not going to get there. So he's now taken the Berserker off for the objective, and Greg has missed. And Greg's missed his cue to sticky that objective for himself.
Yes, I mean that's big because that was 6. That's 6 points Greg's just lost there. Because if he dropped the CP, he loses the bodyguard, but he gets the 4 on primary. So
charging the into that combat.
Cool. And then I'm going to do tank shock.
He's doing tank shock.
Oh, here we go. Big tank energy. What are we talking here? 11, 10 dice.
5.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That's 6 mortal wounds. He's capped it.
Yeah,
He's hit the cap.
Holy.
Oh, he's in danger.
5 plus, yeah.
Yeah.
Mental.
well, that moved us on nicely. We can skip the fight phase pretty much, unless
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
Even on jackals.
Jackals are the only ones that with a 5.
Yeah.
They are 5 up feel no pains, but that is like 6, right? He keeps like 1, 2 of them alive?
4 die.
Oh dear.
Well, it's
So-
a thing.
good move from Phil because he's now in theory denied put Greg down to maybe only 4 primary if he can deal with that top unit. I mean, the sister if they whiff again and the sisters pick up a couple more, maybe
Tank's hit with everything.
likely he's still gonna get 8.
Does it matter? Can it still attack if it can't? It's not within. Because of the 2 I took off.
Yeah, but you can piles in now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So he has actually secured that. Well, he's denied primary, and he's secured some for himself on the following turn.
Holy
Yeah, unless Angron comes back and gets
Oh,
charged.
don't say it.
5.
Don't even think it, you monster. I mean, I want it now that you've mentioned it. I forgot that was still on the cards.
Don't forget the brigand is OC8 as well. So if that
What,
can
really?
well have a charge,
That's
it
the,
can
that's the
also
Jackal's dead from that charge.
change
I've got
things.
one more.
Okay.
There's one more left. There's one more.
Oh, there's one left. Oh, yeah, but in terms of objective control, that guy is doing next to nothing.
Yes, he does get to a fight first though with that jackal, and the Canoness has 1 wound left. So
Oh,
you never know.
no. Oh, that would be a sad end to a heroic little model that's done so much work for
It
it
is,
today.
but the reason why it's important
then-
is that Greg hasn't pulled Assassinate yet.
Yeah.
So if that jackal kills that Canoness and then
4
he pulls
wounds.
Assassinate, it's an auto
Minus
score.
1.
There is a Hospitaller somewhere in his list. I just don't know where it is and whether it's dead or not.
I think that died.
Angron early, I think Angron got straight into
Yeah.
him early and maybe ate that up.
1 damage.
Yeah, you have 2 characters in this list. Jango and eat one.
Yeah, no, so they're both still alive.
Oh, there's one in the
Oh, they are
both
both still alive. I had a feeling.
Ah.
Okay, so Assassinate is not as clear cut.
No. 1 wound each, yeah?
I think.
Yes. And the guy with the big one.
Greg.
Some sisters get picked up there.
Please. Sustain.
Yeah, Greg should have activated first though,
And then,
because nothing
Oh,
charged.
Greg's attacking, yeah.
and then choose 1 wound.
Small error, but we're at the tail end of it now.
Greg's the
People
one
are-
who's attacking though.
Oh, Greg is attacking it.
Okay,
It looked
good.
like it was jackals getting picked up. I think it was the sisters.
1 feel no pain.
We zoomed in on someone's phone for some reason. There we go.
Yes, the autofocus on the bloody camera. If anyone would like to improve the quality of our camera system, please sign up to Patreon now.
And then I get to hit you.
Money, please.
So scores on the doors, George
Nathan will
Doors.
give
We
you
do need
sex
5
and
points
save.
on Phil's score, by the way, Josh. Phil is on 28 at the moment.
Yeah,
Hang on, so that is not the end of the turn yet, though.
No, not quite.
not quite,
Oh,
but
sorry.
yeah,
I
he's
thought
not
we
quite
were
there yet. And what will happen at the end there is it will. Oh no, he didn't sabotage anything, did he? He forgot the action because he moved the jackals in. So 61 is where Greg is. He's rolling some dice.
Attacking with the character in that last sister's unit at the top of the board there.
Trying to pick up something. I don't think the hospital is particularly fighty. She's more of a support character.
I see. Oh,
So 12.
what's this? Which one is this? Objective 3 or objective? Oh, you're there. I see. With the, okay.
Canoness is fine.
Oh, it's the Canoness.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's clap o'clock then if she's going for it.
Nearly.
Oh yeah, get absolutely gibbed, mate. That is gone.
Right.
That Canoness has probably killed more units than any other single Sisters unit on the field today. She's picked up some bits.
So we go into the big turn 5.
So we're going into turn 5, are we?
So us +5 on that for Phil. Phil goes up to 28. We're now looking at secondaries from
So
Greg.
Phil, what did you score? You got the 5.
Yeah, just a 5 for the assassinate, which was massive, and I've still got bring it down.
You've still got to bring it down. You keeping it?
Yeah, I'll keep over.
So I've got sabotage,
Keeping
I've got
it.
a kept, haven't I? So
Yeah,
it's
you've
all
Strange
one more.
decision to keep bringing it down there.
Cool.
I'm not sure if. I don't know if Phil has realised that a Bricken's only worth 2 points.
I don't think he
No.
has engaged all fronts. And he's kept sabotage.
Greg's kept sabotage into his turn 5.
3 different table quarters.
And engage. Now engage is a lovely little passive one to get in the mid game, but when you're down to like 3 units at the ass end of turn 5,
So-
it's tough.
Presume Phil will still get 8 on. Greg, sorry, will get 8 on primary here. It looks like he's still got 2 objectives.
He holds number 6 and he holds the top one, and I think no, yeah, the berserker on the bottom one's gone as well, so it will be 8 with no guards.
Did he stick it or not? Because that's the difference between an 8 and a 12.
He didn't sticky objective 1. He did not trigger it. I think we pointed out that he missed that when it died.
So he's on 69 then.
Sorry, someone had to point it out. So we're on 69 for Greg
I just won't score it.
Hang on, you're not there yet.
to 28.
So what's happening? Are you keeping sabotage?
Phil?
I'll keep it.
Greg's keeping sabotage.
If I
What? Yes, what's wrong?
go on, sorry. If I move in to within this building, can I then fire
If you're wholly within it, yeah.
wholly within it?
You have to be able to get the back of your base onto the...
He's got 12-inch movement, so he should be able
He's
to
got
go
12-inch
right up
movement?
to the front of that terrain and shoot it over the
It's got an
small bit.
8-inch move, hasn't it?
12.
12.
They're fast as fuck, boy.
Oh yeah, 12. I'm only moving at 8.
Oh. They're ridiculous.
Right, so as things stand at the moment, there is a 41-point difference
12 from the
now that
first
Greg's
one
gone up to
to
69 on with
Yeah.
his primary points, which means that is, I believe, an 8. That's a
Before you
12
move,
8.
what's
No,
the
an
primary?
18-2, is it?
18.
Yeah.
It's an
I'm gonna do
18-2.
primary first.
So I've
If
still got that
what
one.
he needs to do
Yeah.
is try and take Greg off,
You're on
Phil
that
off
one.
of
I've got
these
that one, so
objectives.
that's
Yeah,
8.
but obviously he needs to pick up units because Phil gets to
69
the
to
end of his
28.
turn to score them. He can just move on to objective 1 and pick up 4. So realistically, Phil will get 8 points here. That would only be worth 1, so it would make it a 17-3, and he has to hope he gets some good secondaries.
Yeah, at this point it is
Different
damage
table
mitigation
quarters.
and grabbing all
That'd
the
be
points
1,
you
2,
can grab.
3.
It really depends on what Greg has.
So
What was
are
his
they-
secondaries
those
for Greg?
units both still in combat?
Sabotage and
Engage on all fronts. Engage on all fronts I don't
Yeah.
think is
Well,
really going to
like-
happen. There's not enough units left to make it happen. But there are enough units left for him to legally make it happen, so he can't put it back into the deck. But he is not in a position to be able to score that right now.
Is it not if you have 3 or
Got
less,
engage
you
on all
can
fronts.
redraw it?
2 or less.
Oh, he's
No,
got 4,
yeah,
isn't
yeah.
he? He's got 4.
Yeah.
Um,
And sabotage will be a 3-pointer, more or less, I think.
I mean, what I will say is if he moves that knight 12 inches into the bottom quarter, he will have 2 on engage.
Are we saying they're both still in
But
combat?
that gets him nothing. He needs 3.
But he needs to move his knight forward to shoot. So he may as well. It's a passive score. He may as well move the knight 12 and from the centre, bottom quarter, pick up the 2 passively because he's in 3/4. Shoot. Hope he picks up the tank. But at this point, even if Greg kills that tank, Phil has enough units to just move on to objective 1 and score it. There's nothing
Yeah.
Greg can do to stop that.
And Greg might go for the easy option here, and that is walk that knight into the building, sabotage it, and take the 3
Always
without
have
needing to
control it
interact.
immediately after you attack.
So yeah, but with both units, because they both attacked, or did just
One after the other. So the combat works simple. Pile in, you attack, you consolidate. Next unit. Pile in, attack, consolidate.
Right, so
If you can't pile in, i.e. you can only pile in if you're engaged
Yeah.
or you've charged. If another unit kills something that takes a different unit out of engagement range, it can't pile in. So it's a very strategic part of the game, combat.
Yeah.
I would argue, if you're now going back to the last phase and going, oh well, where should they be? It's too late.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I think we are a little bit too late now to start messing around with redos on consolidations
so
and
jackal
pile-ins.
Yeah, considering the fact that
Okay, so you can move
Greg's had quite a few opportunities to
someone should be
maximise those,
engaged
and
in
he's
range,
not
right?
been able to go back and do it. So
Because she attacked them.
Yeah, so the berserkers are the closest, aren't
Yeah, they're in engagements.
Did she attack them?
It's my attack, yeah.
Then she had to be within engagement range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So move the berserkers into them, or here into them,
At least an inch away.
and then the
I mean,
jackals.
at least
And
within
these are all
3.
good things to think about and talk about when in combat, but unfortunately you
Yeah.
need to think about those
So
sort of
jackals
decisions
can move.
before.
So if I do,
I think it just highlights
Beforehand.
this is like a biggest part of the game. It's just a little bit of discipline on, and I always and I still do forget.
so if I go
Pile in, attack, and consolidate immediately. Immediately, because if you move on to the next unit, you fucking hell, you no, it's
You've taken something off yourself. You've taken a
not
bit
only
of
just
movement,
yourself,
So-
you
control.
could be
and
cheating.
perhaps a question for the players, Josh. At this point, I think Greg moves the war dog up.
So if
Yeah,
I
so
goes back
we
to
want to.
berserkers,
I think at the
clears
end of
up
the day,
that
kind of
unit.
it's turn 5, so you're going to move the war dog up. You're going to take your shot
yeah,
because there's not much strategy left at this stage.
yeah.
I would say.
I was going to move the jackals into the third table
So
quarter.
try and get the quarter.
Yeah.
But you still haven't got
Perfect.
3/4.
Pick up the 2.
Not in this one.
It needs to move the war.
You
The
need to
war
move the
dog
war
should
dog
move
into the
12
bottom
down.
So you can still be on that objective, I think. Maybe.
can't.
No, I don't think you.
But I can't shoot you though.
No, you can't. So you got
He
the
wants to
choice between shoot-
sabotage with that anyway for 3 points.
Oh, you want to sabotage?
Yeah, you can't have cake and eat it too at
So
this
you've got a
point. You
choice
can't get them
between
all.
engage and sabotage. You can't have both. One's worth more points than the others. But if it
Cut the
dies,
3
you
with
get nothing.
sabotage. Screen with the Zerkers, so
Sabotage is
Phil can't get to that top objective. Phil picks up 8 on primary.
If I
single
sabotage
secondary
with the
doors.
yeah, so I'll do that. So that means I don't shoot, but it doesn't really matter. It gets points, isn't it?
Okay, and then you don't currently have engage.
No, but I can't get engage
Why?
because I can't get anything into this table quarter
Okay.
Yeah.
because he was here.
Th-
I mean,
Yeah.
he could move round, I suppose, but then he can't sabotage.
Yeah. So sabotage is worth more points. So if he's
Fine.
taking one or the
Or
other and
could
he's
he
picking the
move
sabotage.
into this, and then
If that's your call, that's your call.
But it wouldn't be able to sabotage.
I can't tell you if it's the right one, but
yeah. 3 different. So where's the table quarter? Like here.
it's the immediate halfway point.
So
The exact halfway point is the line.
This one.
So if that was here,
Yep.
yeah, and then I go 12.
But you can't sabotage them. Sabotage worth 3, engage worth 2.
It has to be outside. It has to be outside your deployment zone,
Okay,
which
well,
that
leave
will
it
not
and
be.
sabotage with that. That's fine.
I mean,
Okay.
that other
Yeah, I
berserker
can't
at
get
the top,
engaged,
in
it's fine.
theory, can just move
And
in.
then just
Maybe
stop
get
combat
in.
over there,
No, he
isn't
won't
it?
have the move.
No, I don't think
Take
it
the
will.
3 on the sabotage. Phil will get 8 on primary because there's nothing that Greg can do to
You do
stop
that.
him moving on to 2 end of his turn.
And then it depends if Phil gets any secondaries that require
So
interaction.
First one. Please.
Yeah, probably just gonna kill it, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's fine. I mean,
With that?
for me, I would have gone for the engage.
You would have.
Yeah. But that's fine, because he can stop you getting
She's got 2
sabotage.
wounds in fairness, so she might stay
He's
alive.
starting to coach again.
No, it's done. We've
Okay.
we've done that.
Cool.
He's already done the action. He's already committed. So I feel like it's okay for me to tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on, so,
Sure, okay. So 3.
Right. So we're picking up that last few bits of combat now, a bit of shooting here and there,
2
bit of
wounds.
melee.
-1.
Holy shit.
Oh!
Big guy.
What scars?
Please.
Now do 3 of those again on your next blood surge roll.
Then strength 8 up to 2s now.
Twos into the.
Ugh.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Minus
that was
2
less
wounds,
good.
but -2.
So-
she's saving on 5s.
Uh-oh.
1. How many damage?
2.
2. She's on 1 wound.
Fuck's
Oh
sake.
my lord, she survived with a 1 wound.
She's gonna hit you back.
She is not going anywhere.
These sisters' fucking characters are insane.
Breeze.
I mean, the fact that you can spend miracle dice to pick them back up and bring them back to life is a bit silly.
Yeah, I will just mention, because at the point where I was coaching the game, is that Greg moved those jackals for engage.
Ah,
So
ah.
when he declared and decided he wasn't going to score engage,
Yeah.
he's kind of put the Zerkers in the middle of nowhere. Sorry, the jackals, who surely would have just charged on the objective and killed that sister.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Death.
Yeah.
Oh, true.
I think we're
I
just
wasn't
kind
sure
of.
what was happening there.
Yeah, I think it's just
Yeah,
kind of.
it's the reason why it's quite big is it now means that if he can pick one of these sisters up on one of the Zerkers back on the hit back, he can in theory now go and score 12 on primary by taking all 3 objectives. So
Yeah. Mike's just in disbelief of the fact that Berserker that watched his entire squad get nuked around him on turn 1's just chilling behind that shipping container like nothing's happened.
I know he's been there for a long time, that Berserker.
He's just rethinking his life. Like, if a Corn Berserker could get PTSD, watching your entire squad get nuked off the board turn 1,
Yeah, I think
maybe he's just suffering from shell shock here.
So, is that the end of the turn?
About that one.
Yeah, I've just got. Well, that's the end of Greg's, just mine, and then we're done. So,
Okay, so Greg, score me up, please.
he
So,
got.
Nothing.
He got 3. Last goal 3 for sabotage.
No, he has a he scores that at the end of
Sabotage.
your turn.
Wait,
Oh,
yeah.
you didn't get engaged, did you?
No, I didn't get engaged.
So,
No, so it's still 69 to 28.
We do primary
Phil
now.
doesn't get primary right now, but he will get it at the end.
so we're scored. Greg is fixed on 69. He can go up to 72 if he scores sabotage.
Yeah.
And Phil,
Which I
you're on
think
28.
he might.
Yeah.
You score at the primary at the end of your turn.
Mm-hmm.
We need to see your secondaries, please.
Yeah. So I've got bring it down an area denial.
Bring it down can be done. Area denial can also be done. I am concerned.
He can't. There's no way he's getting the angles to shoot and take 12 wounds off that war dog.
How tall is that war dog? We can't see if it's peeking over the top,
It
right?
is. It is.
No.
Oh, that's shootable. It's shootable anyway.
It is, but what you have to remember,
Friendly
if he now commits to get the angle to shoot it, he potentially then can't sit on objective in his turn and score the primary. So
Well, if that
Don't
immolator, the immolator's got melter guns, right? And that's the one that's closest to objective 1.
There's
So
not much
that will be
thinking
able
to be done here, I'm afraid.
Yeah. I mean, that goes onto the objective and shoots the war dog because you can see it because it's taller. And the other thing has indirect D6 damage shots at AP3.
The
And
obvious
we
thing.
can't
The obvious thing is
underestimate
not
that.
always the best thing to do.
Can I use smoke on that? Have to be a smoke unit.
yeah, I mean,
Or
There's a lot of
The
points
damage is
available.
available.
Here. There's a lot of points available here.
Yeah, the damage is available. The war dog can get taken out. And you can't underestimate, Ben, if the war dog's taken out, he's denying 3 to Greg as well on the sabotage. So that is a 5-point swing.
I will be amazed if he manages what I'm saying. I guess he has the opportunity with the other tank to
Anyway.
move.
I'm not
Can he
interfering.
sit on the outside of the middle objective and still get a line of sight? So at least he's on it still. But if he fails to kill it,
Yeah, it's
I
not
can't
ideal.
see it happen.
There are no consequences. Really.
Greg will get to fight first on objective 2 and hopefully finally kill that annoying little sister. So yeah, what's left in this game? Greg gets 8 points if he sits where he is. If he can kill the war dog, denies 3 to Greg. he potentially gets 2 on Bring It Down, so it's a 5-point swing, so it is worth an FTC point. Does he need to move something to get into air denial range as well? The question is, what does he have that can get wholly within 3 for the big air denial?
Yeah.
Wholly within 6. I don't think anything can
Right.
get within
Well,
6.
it's the last turn, so please, Phil, talk us through everything because there's no comeback on this. So
Yeah, sure.
what's happening?
So I've moved to try and score some primary, to try and score whatever it is, area denial.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and build a war dog up. So we'll see if I can score some points that way. We have 5 points. Is it?
So have you finished your movement?
Yeah.
You certain?
What's that?
Okay.
Yeah,
Nothing.
I'm a certain.
No, yes, you are. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm not interfering.
Yeah,
that
it's
much.
done.
Done. Right,
Can't
shooting
coach at
phase.
this point.
5 shots with the Exorcist cannon.
I love that, like, Josh is just trying to confirm it, but, like, it sounds like a question. He's like, wait, what should I do?
Are you
What are my options
sure?
here?
Are you sure you
Doesn't have
finished
to be a
moving,
smoke
Phil?
unit that can smoke.
I mean, it's a valid
Yeah.
question for Josh because, as I said, he can't physically score air denial now unless he gets like a 12-inch charge.
No, he's got the canoness on the centre.
Yep, she's still alive,
Oh,
mate.
I thought she was a dice.
Nope, she's sat next to a dice, which represents the one wound that she's been on for about 3 turns.
She's more dice than woman.
Yeah, I mean, she's got to be. She's gonna have to make the charge, and if she makes the charge, she maybe gets killed in combat.
Oh.
So
Why does she need to make the charge if he can shoot it off the? If he can shoot the war dog to death?
she's got to be within 3 to score big air denial.
She is.
She
She
is,
is.
off the
She is
centre.
sat on the middle, mate.
Oh, it's the
Okay.
double objectives, isn't it? I'm
Yeah.
looking at it now, thinking she's
You're
got
like, oh, there's another objective.
That's it. And we have wrapped up there, gentlemen.
Oh, wow,
So
there we go.
please let me score up. So all the shooting failed, I assume, on that one.
Yeah,
We
see.
passed that by.
And that's another 8 primary as well, though. That will bump
So
him
Phil,
up.
that gets you 8 primary. Was you don't score guarding, allegedly.
You'd never had anything on an
No,
objective to
so
guard.
you can't score guarding.
You can't
if
score
go
guard if you go
turn
second,
5.
apparently. And
Only
your
complete
secondaries,
end of your
area
opponent's
denial.
turn.
Yeah, I got area denial for a little one.
So 5, and you got your sabotage for 3,
Yeah.
which shock horror actually
72
makes
to
the
40.
score 72 to 41, which is just over the 30 points difference.
Oh,
Which-
yeah, by
Yeah,
1 point. Oh,
but
God.
he doesn't get the 6. I think is it a 15-5 rather than a 16-4? I think by 1 point.
It is. If it's just over 30, it's 15-5, right?
Yeah,
It's 31.
15-5.
31.
Yeah,
And well done. Shake hands, gents.
Thank you.
Well done.
really interesting game.
Very good.
I thought that was going to be far more one-sided either way, depending on dice rolls. But there was a lot of nuance in those last couple of turns that made it a really interesting watch,
Yeah,
and
so
a lot of mechanics on show.
There's a
there.
couple of things I want to just say for that last turn because I want to coach the
Yeah,
team on
be
this
helpful,
one.
Josh, yeah.
Right, okay, so first things first, you've got a miracle dice with 6 on it and a 4, which means you're guaranteed to get that sister squad that's sitting behind objective 3 there
Yeah.
onto objective 1.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't need to push your fucking immolator onto it.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Oh,
means
it's 31 points, so it is 16-4. Sorry, Josh.
Oh, 16-4. 16-4.
16-4.
Thank you. So the immolator could have moved up to get within 9 of that war dog.
Yeah,
Okay.
but can't advance and shoot them.
It didn't need to advance, I promise you.
Okay.
Then the executioner thing, battle wagon
Yeah.
Mitch.
Yeah.
That moves up to get a line on those coal berserkers on objective 2.
Yeah.
And the woman falls back.
Yeah.
Right.
Can't because of the wall. There is meant to be a big bit.
Yeah,
of
yeah, but
terrain
it's got
there.
movement 10.
This
It can,
is,
I promise you, it can get a bead on those
Yeah.
swarm berserkers.
Even though that's a bit.
Yeah, I promise you, from this angle, it easily gets. It can see a millimetre of that Gorn Berserker's base. It's an outside chance. I'm not going to fucking deny you that. Otherwise, it's good play, and it's a bit chancy. But that means the heavy bolters goes into Gorn Berserkers.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe gets a bit lucky.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know. Probably not. Let's
Yeah.
be frank. But you fire the immolator first anyway.
Yeah.
Now you're in melter range, and you've got 2 miracle dice. So it's game on.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit dicey, but you're in melter range with multi-melters,
Yeah.
and you've got miracle dice.
Mm-hmm.
It's an outside chance, but it picks you up. I think that then takes you from a 16-4 down to like a 14-6, and I think getting 6 points out of the way this game goes is fucking, well, not to make too much of a pun, but I think that's a fucking miracle. But anyway, we'll wash up there, and I'll hand over to you guys. Tell me, how do you think that went? I'll start with Phil, if you don't mind, because
I think I've tried to play Cage. He tried to stay out of anger on range. Didn't do that particularly well. I think he should have went down before he did. I made a number of mistakes. I think real mistakes. Should have grenaded there for sure.
Yeah.
Made a difference. Dice didn't help. I was feeding Miracle Dice in where it was sensible to do so to get the maximum out of it, and I thought that went okay. But yeah, I think maybe lost the melters early, which we could have argued was a big asset lost really. But
well, you could ask the question, why did they get out of the transport?
Yeah, I think the mistake I made with them, if they are an inch away, regardless of what you roll on the dice, they were out to try and screen out to stop him hitting me tank, but he did it anyway, so it was a poor move.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't think
I should have kept them an inch away, so therefore they would have been guaranteed to be in the tank. Now, as it happened, the tank survived and moved back, so we would have had the melter squad.
Yeah.
So that was massive, really.
It was huge.
Play for me, so.
Well, transports are the best unit in the game by
Yeah.
a fucking long way, because it means you get almost guaranteed that it's going to take someone a turn to get to what's inside.
Yeah.
And they've got to dedicate shooting into something that they don't really want to dedicate anti-tank shooting into, because it doesn't really have a damage profile.
Yeah.
Sisters are the exception. But anyway, anything else? How do you think your opponent played?
I think well, yeah. I think bearing in mind we didn't think he had a huge amount of assets. Like I think the Jackal late game kind of swung it. They were a lot more punchy than I anticipated. I think
I've never had combat with them Jackals. Never.
Really?
Never.
Normally just sticky objectives.
Just sit on my home objective, yeah.
Well, I will be taking questions from the chat as well in a minute, but in the meantime, thanks for that, Phil.
Yeah.
Some comments from you.
So I think initially made the mistake with the Berserkers leaving them out in the open. My idea was to try and get on the objective early, but then you don't score it till round 2. So that was a mistake, but I think you learn not to leave things out in the open, don't you? Quite early on. So that was a mistake, but I think the play with Angron was what swung it really in terms of locking you up.
Yeah.
And then I think the shooting was terrible, as we would expect.
Well, it's not your forte.
Yeah.
But alas, I think at the end of the day, that War Dog came good, killing the Seraphim. Which would have been an absolute pain for you to have.
That was a poor play. I should have put them behind the building, which would have denied him.
And I think
in fact, I would argue that you shouldn't have put them behind the building. You should have left them exactly where they were and dared him to charge you. And overwatched him again. And that's the beauty of Seraphim, is that you get 2 turns of shooting at them.
Yeah. But I think as well, I was quite lucky just having 1 left from each unit, because I could do the secondaries with them. That was lucky in a way.
That's the burden of every army that can't get to those little one-man guys that are left. But how did you think Phil helped? Do you think Phil played?
I think he played quite well. I think it's because we know each other quite well. It's what I kind of expected.
Yeah.
But I think he was hampered by the way the game panned out in the beginning. With Angron, I think it was difficult to do anything else after he'd taken the Melter squad. That's a big part of your army, isn't it? But yeah, I think it was a good game.
Good.
Exciting.
Thanks very much, Greg. It's a
Thank you.
pleasure to have you here as well. And I'll take some questions from the commentators. Obviously you won't hear them, but I'll relay the questions on to you. So anything from the commentators, any comments?
Go on, Ben, I'll hand over to you first, mate.
Yeah, so look, great game. I won't go on too long about that. It was an enjoyable watch. It was lots of back and forth. I think Josh, you mentioned it there. The question I'd have for both of the players is, have either of them picked up a big learning from that game? Is there anything they feel like they want to go back and change or
It's a good question.
focus on or learn about their armies?
It's a good question. Ben's just asking, what would you change, basically? I'll start with you this time.
I'll probably maybe have less Berserkers in terms of the army list, or
No, just everything. I mean, yes, army building can be part of it.
Yeah.
Perhaps your approach. Maybe there was a decision you made that you didn't like.
I didn't like the first decision where I brought the Berserkers out. That was stupid.
Yeah.
But then I probably should have.
Well, I feel beholden to tell you that everyone was screaming at the screen when you were taking the berserkers off, and you were taking off the ones that were closest to him.
Okay.
And on the objective.
Yeah.
And one lived.
And didn't blood surge.
Yeah.
And you didn't blood surge.
Blood surge. Yeah.
So you did.
Yeah.
So there was several mistakes in that one thing that
Yeah.
cost you 4 victory points.
Yeah.
So you'd have lived, and that was 2 OCs.
But then he had 3 Arco Flagellants on the objective.
You can blood surge into combat.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have auto-C'd them, would I?
But you can blood surge into combat.
Yeah, but
Final
yeah. But then I wasn't sure if you were too far away behind a wall.
He shot you twice. So you can blood surge twice.
Yeah.
2 units.
Yeah.
It's a big part of your army, and obviously the point of the league is you're going to learn this. And you're going to go like, oh my god. And there was so many times in this game where you won.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, there's times when I'm watching this game that was a 20-0 because it was so oppressive for Phil. Things were going so bad. Once that Angron got in and he got really unlucky, didn't kill him. It's game over.
Yeah.
Because when you're in his face and you're going toe to toe, and you rock in the game of rock paper scissors, you win.
Yeah.
When it comes to combat. So I think that for me that was the key takeaway from my side. I'm sorry I'm interrupting you, but yeah.
No, I think that's fair. To be honest, Blood Surge is something, because we only play together, really. Yeah. Blood Surge is something that I always tend to forget. Which I won't now, but...
Well, and again, another part of the league, you're going to play very experienced players.
Yeah.
And they're going to remind you about it.
You get complacent as well. Sometimes
you do, of course.
When you play your brother, you play for years, you get complacent. But then in the league, it's trying to remember that. You probably similar, it's the same as some rules that you will have forgotten or... But I think, I don't know, it's hard at 1,000 points because, as you say, you bring anger and he's your punch.
But I would argue the other point, with 2,000 points, there's even more rules to forget.
Yeah.
So like there's,
we always forget our rules.
We always forget our rules.
One question.
It's not so much rules though, but with 2,000 points, I think you
I've got a question coming in.
Do a bit more.
Yeah. Well, you did great.
But one question for I just had for Phil. He changed his detachment for this game.
Yeah.
With a few of the things that happened in the game, did he wish it remained with the previous one?
You stole my question. That was exactly where I was going to go with it as well. Missing the amount of times he had to advance and then couldn't take advantage of shooting, I was just like, oh.
There's a Nathan and Ben dual question coming in, and it's very much around: do you regret taking that detachment?
No, I wanted to see what the detachment did. I knew it would. I mean, essentially, the list building for this was to. I mean, the first game was Bringers of Flame, and obviously I played Steve on stream, and I just felt that I didn't have enough stuff potentially to do the action stuff. And I think as well, maybe in that one, I kind of went. I think with the Bringers of Flame, I think I'm still trying to learn that style, and I think everyone's clear it's the best.
Yeah, and it can be dull, and we're all trying to learn, right? So
I think
if you go Bringers of Flame there, you have a well chance.
But it probably wouldn't have had as much stuff.
Yeah.
So I think this detachment was an all-comer, so tried to kind of plan for as many eventualities as it could, and the army kind of did that. But then it was faced with an Angron style problem, which is a problem for anyone. So
yeah, I agree.
I think if I was going to redo this list, definitely consider Morden Val as a real hammer unit. I think in 1,000 points, I probably missed that today because she can delete units. Maybe not this detachment. Well, she can. She's probably got more protection because you can stand her back up.
Yeah. She's
an 8-wheel model. She's really strong on a shooting charge, re-rolling with the...
I think Morden Val for me is an auto include. Only because of what she does to me every time we play.
Yeah, a lot of sister players feel the same. That's why she's quite expensive and why she might not come into a 1,000 point army. I respect the interesting lists I've seen today. These aren't standard lists, but actually I really like the way they've got a bit of utility, the way they can play. So if you don't mind, everyone, I think we've had a long-ish 1,000 point game. I think we've learnt a lot. I'm sure you two will enjoy watching the stream back. I just want to take a moment to say thank you to the commentators.
Thank you very much.
You'll hear when you listen back, gents, they've been fantastic. They are
It's
fantastic.
been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having us and for giving us a really interesting game to watch in voiceover. It's been great.
Yeah, also special shout out to Phil and Greg's dad, who certainly made the chat interesting.
A bit of a vibe.
Participation from the whole family.
And that's
We
Ben
not
giving.
only had brothers and the sisters, we had the dad as well. There you
Bloody
go.
hell.
Boom, boom.
The
Apparently,
whole family this stream.
the entire family turned up on stream and made it all quite entertaining. Apparently, on the chat. So
My family?
Yeah. You have that to look forward to.
Oh,
so.
God. My daughter would have been shouting.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. Honestly, well done, gents. Give yourselves a pat on the back.
Thank you very much.
I hope you come back again soon.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Thank you.
Not
Well
coming
done,
back ever
gents.
again.
Well done.
Thank
you very much.
guys.
Thanks for watching Hot Dice. Don't forget to like, subscribe, check us out. We've got Instagram. We'll have a website up and running soon. You'll be able to buy custom mats to rain at the Pyro Nexus. And thank you very much. And until next time, thanks for watching Hot Dice. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.